So, yeah.
Well, thanks for the input. I mean, I appreciate that shit. Because, like, everyone always comes over and, like, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of shit I gotta do.
And, yeah, and I figured that's what it was, so I didn't want to come in just guns blaring.
But, I mean, that's all it is. This whole fucking thing's just a learning process. And, like, I watch it and I see it. I'm like, oh, it's perfect. But then, like, other people are like, no, you should do this.
Mm-hmm. So it literally comes down to the guy, the people from that license job. I literally just got an email from from like one of their actual hiring people who's further in the process. I understand you talking. That's hilarious that we were literally just talking about that. So
timing's everything.
Actually, and then just me staying. The guy loved me, so I doubt that nothing or anything bad will happen. But I'm confident now. Where I was literally that job. I felt like I was getting dumber every day. I wasn't able to. And every time I got off work,
just not mind numbing shit.
Mind numbing shit.
I feel that's so hard, dude. Because people are, like, so excited, so pumped. And, like, I can't knock it because it's, like, your first gig. It's your first real money. Yeah. You got your degree. Like, congratulations. I totally get it. But people are like, oh, this is, like, this first job. Like, I'm so excited. Like, this is the job for me. And, like, fucking 4 weeks in, you're like, this ain't it, man.
Yeah. No, I knew that, at least, like, going right into it, where I was like, okay, I'm going to get money. This is going to help me at least not live in my parents'
money. Yeah, exactly.
And then I thought about that. I was like, okay, on paper, this will look good. So that I can try.
Experience is all that matters.
And it is. And then on paper, I definitely could have sold that to like an HR person for a different job.
Right.
But at what I actually was doing day to day, I was trying so hard to find stuff that would help. Organization was literally clocking in and out.
Right.
I fucked up my timesheet so many times. It was so brutal.
That's hilarious.
I would literally.
So you can fuck with all this. This up here, we'll move this guy up and down.
Cool.
And then you tighten this boy, and then these will.
How long did it take you to get good at that?
Hours. Like, when I say hours, like 20 hours. Well, so you're episode 5, and I probably did 10 practice runs. Like, of just me and my buddies fucking around or whatever, and then, like, me, like, testing camera, testing audio, testing editing. And that was for, like, another 5 hours. Dude, it's so much fucking time.
How's been the editing coming? Because I've literally I had a class that I had to, what software do you use for it?
Adobe Premiere Pro. And I know nothing about any of it. Like, literally, so I said in that thing that I bought all this shit. Wait, cheers, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you, too.
I bought all this shit in March. And, like, you know, you dive into anything, like, oh, I got this, like you know, a few weeks, I'm fucking, like, DJing, like, you're probably just, like, locked and loaded.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, you do one thing, you, like, it's just, like, everything. Like, you just learn, you realize how little you actually fucking know.
Yeah.
And, like, oh, my God, dude, the Adobe, the editing, like, I don't edit anything. Like, when, like, if you got to piss or something, I'll, like, write down, like, the time that we take a pee, and I'll cut that out, and then I'll tie it all together, and that's that. I don't do any other editing.
Well, did you say from the beginning that you wanted to do that?
Right.
Because?
Right.
Was it because you wanted the organic conversation or because you don't know how to edit?
Both. Well, I wanted the organic conversation, but then, like, after the very first video, I was, like, fucking it in Premiere, and I was like, thank God I did it this way, dude. Because, like, you see, like, the clips and shit on, like, YouTube or Instagram of, like, people's podcasts, how, like, zooms into faces, there's, like, words pop up, it switches camera angles, and I'm like, ugh. No,
I know how
chance.
to do that if you want me to.
Yeah, dude. I like literally every single episode that I do, when I pop it in there, it's just like, okay, now what's one more thing that I can learn on it? So it's a beast and a half.
It is, and it's so funny that me being around other people in Mizzou's J School, because that's where my, like, strategic communications, that's where...
I was going to ask that.
So strategic communications, with this advertising specific, but for, for the first semester and a half, it's through the journalism school. So I literally, you have to take, which actually I don't even think they do it anymore because they realized it's stupid. So they would literally, we know from a certain point, like, yes, I'm going to do Stratcom, which is what they call it. Yeah. And then they'll go, okay, yeah, but you have to take a news writing class and then a multimedia journalism class, which I was totally fine taking, even at the time, because my roommates, who were all either accountants or my friends were engineers or other business kids. So I would see literally what they would be doing for homework, and I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm going to go interview the LSD guy. Which I did. He's a chiller.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. And that was what my grades were. I obviously had exams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was helpful. But anytime my other friends would complain about it, it would be people in my classes that were only ever around people that were kind of doing at least the same thing. I am the only one. I was the only one in my fraternity except for like one kid a year older than me, and then I think a few kids younger than me.
That was doing strategic communication. Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So I'd tell my friends whatever I was going to do, and I'd come home with I would have to rent this tripod and a camera and like a microphone.
Yeah.
Yes, I took a video because we had to have like microphones with just to get like ambient sound and stuff like that. And I took like a close-up video of my friend just taking a dab. And it was like,
look at this content, baby.
It was perfect. I was like, dude, I don't really know, because our classes, we would literally just have a class for hour and a half or something like that, and then like maybe one or two of them teaching us Premiere or Photoshop or any of the Adobe things. There was like Audition, which is another one that you can use for audio.
Yeah,
and,
there's so many.
And then they would just be like, okay, here's your assignment.
Figure it out.
Go do it. Yeah.
Why were they having you do that? Because of these interviews and shit?
Yeah, so that class
you had to put in like a professional presentation.
So it was multimedia journalism. So it was 2 weeks, however they broke up the weeks, but it was photo, video, audio, and then the last part was like a big project, like a group project, and you put it all together. So we would go from...
I'm following.
So then it was cool because the people that we had, like our teachers, our professors for those, it was cool and it sucked because this guy was literally shooting sports video for Mizzou football. That was his job, and he just taught kind of on the side.
Right.
So he would just show us how to do this stuff so fast, and all of us sitting here never even opened this program before.
He's like Control E this, V this, C this,
D
just
this. Going through. And if you like went out of your way to ask him certain questions and
he'd
stuff,
walk you through it.
Yeah, but that's just so much. It was a lot. So, but then everyone was on the same page though, and then there was a few kids in the class. There's this kid now who is a baller. He did videos for the Chiefs and like Mizzou throughout school, and now works for the NFL and like in like their social and like their video and their videos. His name's Diego. I don't know how to say his last name.
All good. Shout out Diego.
Shout out Diego. I've only talked to him a handful of times, but he's a homie.
Does dope stuff.
Yes.
There's a kid that was in our fraternity. Shout out Huddy Productions on Twitter. Big Chiefs guy. He makes the dopest fucking Chief hype videos. And like his Chiefs hype videos on Twitter, he almost does one every week. We'll get like tens of thousands of views because they're fucking sick.
And it's dope. So that's another thing that I think is so cool about just creative stuff in general is that they have to do that stuff, one, because they love it, and two, just for free for so long.
Yeah.
Just
he's putting in hours of work
just to get better at it, to learn the software, because like he's probably using After Effects and
everything,
probably programs that I don't even know exist.
He's syncing like audio tracks and movie like dialogues to like football hits and like hurdles, and it's like, bro, at the same time doing like transitions and all this shit,
and having hours of footage and knowing like, okay, this is gonna happen here. That takes some sports knowledge too, of knowing like this dude's gonna get cracked here, and you know, like, okay, that happened at this point in the game. I need to try to put that together.
And he knocks it all down in like a minute-long video,
which is so wild. And I got sent, I reached out to this DJ, like producer, who she's very famous, but like more so in that world and not like household. But she started a podcast, phenomenal podcast.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called Create/Destroy, and it's like based on a book that she read. She's from Australia too, so she has a dope voice. But Anna Luno. So
edm.com/news. Look at that.
I read that website all the time. So super cool. So she just started, her first guest was Chris Lake, you know, that Turn Off the Lights.
Yeah.
That's him. So they're just homies.
Is it her podcast and she was the first guest, or is it theirs together?
No, it's her podcast and Chris Lake was the first guest.
Okay, word. I'm going to send this to my buddy Bennett.
Bennett,
listen to this.
Yeah. For the, what do you say, the five people listening?
Yeah, dude. For you 10 fuckers. Actually, I always pull it up, and it's so funny to see because each one, like, literally it'll have, like, 35 downloads, and that's just people that, like, tapped into the podcast in the library, and then there's, like, listeners, which is people that started it, And then there's like active listeners of people that like listen like 40 seconds. And then there's engaged, which are, I think it's like they listen like 40%. And it's like 60 people will start it. 11 will get like a minute in, and then like 4 will get like an hour in. And it's so, because I'll be like getting texts from the people that are actually listening to it. I'm like, it's kind of fucking funny, but it is what it is.
That's hilarious that you can see that much stuff too.
It's wild, dude. And on Instagram, because the account is like a business account or whatever, I think yours is too. And like the insights you can see and all that shit, wild. It's fucking nuts.
So, dude, for that, the first time I thought about that was that video that I had my friend JoJo make. Shout out JoJo. She made a dope video when I did actually this when I did my boat. Yeah, when I did this booze cruise, and she made this whole video, like shot it the whole time. She was awesome and added music to it and everything. And then I looked at it, got a bunch of views, and then I looked at the insights, and 100 people shared it.
Right,
like,
dude.
Who the fuck is sharing
this? I know,
this? Like,
it's nuts.
Who saw it? It's like, oh yeah, you guys see what Jack's doing, which is probably a super conceited way of thinking about that, but.
No, but it is interesting to
like
see that shit. Yeah. Which video? This video?
Yeah.
Damn, 700 views. Yeah, dude, it's so crazy. And like that first like intro video I made, like there's only like, I don't know, 100 some people that follow this account, my account. But that video got shared, like 60 people sent it. And I was like, and then it shows you like listeners, or not listeners, followers versus people that are not following you. Like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Even like how people, if they saw it, just for anybody that doesn't have a business account too, this is just the type of shit that anybody that has a business account sees.
Just turn, if you don't have one, turn it on. Yeah. Fuck around with it and then just turn it back on.
They don't ask any questions. They just say, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly, dude. I could be a model for fuck's sakes. Like anything. What are you going to say though?
That, yeah, because even just like some random posts, it's like, oh, who would have cared to share that? But I know I sent it in my group chat with like my CBC buddies, with like John and Ben and them. Yeah.
It's wild. It's so crazy, and it makes perfect sense in like this media space. It's like content age thing. It's like crazy to see how quickly something gets around. And like obviously you see, like something goes viral, like obviously you hear about that, but like even on a very minuscule scale, like that was out for probably a day and fucking 100 people sent it out. You're like, motherfucker.
Yeah,
it's wild.
It is wild, and I didn't even look at it until because I knew that was there, but I didn't ever.
You don't think about it.
No, and then I hit view insights on.
Yeah, because it pops up on like the picture or whatever.
Yeah, and I did that on one other random picture. I was like, oh, I wonder what like the video that. One of my friends took a long time to like put together if that like worked out, and then it did. It was so cool because especially with it's the same like similar with podcasting, but with any sort of DJ or musician, that just makes like if somebody who had no idea who I was saw that, would be like, oh, that guy has a video team,
right?
And wouldn't have known that it's literally just one of my friends.
Yeah, just your buddy throwing some shit together.
Yes, I just studied. She was in my study abroad group, and I was like, JoJo, can you? She actually just had moved out to Chicago like 5 days before that.
Wow, talk about fucking clutch.
Yes, it was huge, and she's like, oh yeah, for sure, and like, loves taking video. And that's she does like video production, something for her job now too, which is awesome because she put it together, and I was like, that was amazing, and that was the exact same example of a minute 30 long video and
of like a fucking 4 or 5 hour afternoon.
Yeah. That's and it's hilarious too because on some of those videos, and I can out myself on this because of all the 30. Let's say how long into it are we?
13 minutes.
13 minutes. Oh, we lost 60% already.
Yeah, exactly. No one's gonna hear this.
I was on. You can see in the pictures too, is that I was on this like the second story, like the second floor of this huge boat.
Yeah.
And then some of the shots she took, there was this other DJ who came up with this huge board because we had to bring our own speakers for that thing.
Oh damn, I didn't know that.
So I just have speakers. My dad's like a musician, just plays music out, just like taught himself and just like plays out at bars and stuff, and like at his friends' stuff. So he has nice speakers, but not like professional.
Not
they're not PA level speakers. He could play it, and it was perfect for where that is. And if I was in a basement, he has 2 of them. If I was in a basement, one of them would blow out the basement.
Right.
But this dude, I was on the top deck outside and had these huge PA speakers, 2 subs with them. His board, my board is like this big. His was like this big.
Just throwing down.
Yeah, with like a bunch of other people. There was people downstairs, but like everyone was upstairs. So she like got shots of the top part too. And like if you're watching it, it's a short clip, so you're just gonna think like, oh, he was thrown down on that whole boat. Like if you skip to a random part, it'll probably have somebody up there.
I think this is the same boat that we rented out for our formals.
It probably is. They literally, it's like tailored towards college age kids. That's why they like reach.
Dude, this looks so sick. Was it live?
It was pretty live.
It looks so fucking dope.
And I just got a bunch of my friends since that was Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, a lot of my friends for the weekend.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends
probably live up there.
A handful of them moved to Chicago, and the ones that didn't just went back home.
Right.
So that was a lot of predominantly either like St. Louis or Kansas City. Or some of our friends that even live in the suburbs of Illinois.
Right.
So they're like, oh, I haven't really done anything since we graduated. So for a lot of my friends, they were able to see their friends that they hadn't seen before, or at least since we graduated.
That's so dope, dude. Good for you. That's awesome.
And it just came from me sending an email to that company.
Really? Just like, and it was just like, they were just like, yeah, if you can sell the tickets, you can do it.
Yeah. So we went to a bar crawl called the Mustache Crawl that I got a T-shirt for. It was a great T-shirt. And just a bunch. They just
love a good T-shirt.
Love a good T-shirt. That's why I got these. I wish they just make it. I got exclusive merch. No, I'm kidding.
Password only, baby.
Yeah, exactly. One time drop. And we would get a bunch of Mizzou kids went up there, and it's a huge like post college or even kids that are like in college that go up there for that. So I went up there and then just, of course, kept getting fucking emails from the company afterwards that, like, it's like a whole event planning type of company. Mm-hmm. So kept getting emails from them. And then I would scroll down a little bit every once in a while and they'd see, oh, they got booze cruises all the time. And I had just seen a video of, I think it was DJ Press Play, the Friday
Beers guy.
And it was, and he was also fire sets too. This dude throws down.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's something they just created literally out of nothing.
That's awesome.
And he was on some random boat, not a random boat, it was like probably a pretty big like event company in probably like, I think it was like Philadelphia or something.
Just some random shit.
And it looked so sick.
Right.
And I was actually, before on the 4th of July, I visited my buddy Frankie. Shout out Frankie. I know you're not going to listen to this.
I'll cut it. You can send it to him. Shout out Frankie, dickhead. Shout out Frankie.
And I stayed with him in San Diego. And I love going to those cities because that's where like house music and EDM. Yeah. It was literally just normal. It's like listening to country music.
Right.
In Missouri.
Yeah.
And so we went on this boat.
All my buddies are so fucking into that stuff. They're going to festivals all the fucking time.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was literally, I had to find one. It wasn't really until I got to college that I met like more people that were like that. Mm-hmm. Or when I would play lacrosse with kids that didn't live in St. Charles.
Right.
So I was on this boat.
Not many EDM people out in St. Charles.
No, not that many. And we were literally just going around the San Diego skyline. It was just like house music, like, like it was Frankie's mom asked him, is it the type of music that I wouldn't know when the song changed? And he goes, yeah.
That's exactly
and that
right,
was
Mom.
that was on the money for explaining that to anybody.
Yeah.
And
to a mom, for sure.
Yes. So that was so much fun. I was like, and it
That's
was
a hilarious way to put
in that environment, everyone's into it.
For sure. In a big city like that, hopping place to place, rooftops, fuck yeah, dude. Sign me up.
So, exactly. Because even if you're into it or not, just that environment, you're on a boat, you're already, the implications there.
I could give a fuck what music you're playing on a boat.
You're going to fucking vibe to it regardless. Yeah. So, I literally had a snap story of, like, if I'm not playing music on a boat, like, in 5 years, I've failed. I have literally a snap memory of that. I didn't think cut it for me, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, damn, this would be kind of cool. So I literally just found the email of the company and just sent them an email. And he responded and goes, yeah, can you do like this date, or this date?
That's dope, dude. Way to get it. Way to get after it. I love that.
Just a little cold email. It's just sales.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. That's how you get anywhere. So I want to dive into that, this whole DJ thing. And EDM, like, so you just said EDM as a whole. And like, I was never like super into EDM. I'm not, but I appreciate it and I love this kind of shit. But when I got to college, I was like, holy shit, there's like a ton of people that are like as people are diehard into country music. I would say this is more so.
Oh,
way more so. So where did that come from, and how did this DJ stuff spark?
So
you just said high school. Were you listening to like obviously like Avicii back in high school?
Yeah.
Were you into like the underground shit back in high school?
Underground stuff, not as much. And I would say my brother showed me a video, and it was actually my older brother. Mm-hmm. He was the one that got me into lacrosse too, because I just like watched this game because I was too young for my parents to leave me at home. I was like, this is kind of cool. And then
what's all this about?
So then that's why I'm here right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
And then
literally
he showed me a video of an Ultra Miami like after movie. Yes. And I don't even remember how old I was, because at that time I was super into rap music. Mm-hmm. And
dude, I remember the first time, and when I was in middle school, the first time I saw a Tomorrowland video.
Like,
I was like, fuck are these people? I was like, what the fuck?
I need to go to Belgium now.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even know where Belgium was. I was like, what is this shit, Mom? What am I missing out on? Why are we living in St. Louis?
I love St. Louis, but I've like asked myself that so many times. It's just hilarious. Like, why do I grow up in St. Louis? I love house music and I play lacrosse.
What does that have to do with St. Louis?
Nothing.
All right, so your brother showed you to it, and then you went to college.
I was even super into it in high school. Like, it was one thing where I was the only one out of my friends that really liked it. There was a handful of my friends, like Ben was super into it. Shout out to Ben. He was always be the one that I would be able to show songs like that to, and he would be super into it. Mm-hmm. Before lacrosse games, people would be way more into it. Because you just get in the right environment.
Yeah, just headbanging.
Get after it, bang some chairs against the table.
Yeah.
And
pull a Keenan, throw one at the wall. What's up, Keenan?
And I just started to get into it more. My first concert was the Chainsmokers at the pageant. Oh my gosh, this story is so long, so I'll just condense it. So Coach Condon got me into Blue Chip. This was my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to do those tryouts beforehand.
Right.
And I didn't even have to do those tryouts. Coach Condon got in, like, I didn't
somehow
even have that much.
You in.
Yeah, and with coming off the sophomore year of me having 3 minutes of me scoring like 2 goals and getting an assist. So I got into that.
Fruit salads.
And that was on it, exactly. And I was going to this Chainsmokers concert on Thursday night, and then had this camp Saturday, Sunday, so I didn't have to go to school Friday, which was lit already.
Huge recovery.
Yeah.
Massive.
So I was going to wake up on Friday.
Chainsmokers at the pageant here in St. Louis.
Yes.
And then you went out east Friday night or Saturday morning.
Yeah. So I'm walking in. Me and my one other friend, shout out to Harvey. He's actually in that Instagram picture if you swipe over, but you don't have to pull that up if you don't want to. The first one, the most recent one. They came out. I was playing at Start Bar, and he came in. It was pretty funny. He's the guy in the middle. Yeah.
Oh, Mike's Harv Limited?
Yep.
I know Harv.
Yeah, Harv's the man.
Oh my God, and Griffin.
And Griffin. Shout out Griff.
That's
and
hilarious.
Harv. And so we drank a few beers beforehand, just literally in the parking lot. And then we're walking in. I see my cousins that I knew they were going to them. I'm walking in, like, just jumping up and down. Like, what's up? Go up, come down, full body weight, right on my ankle. Just roll it so bad.
Right before the camp?
Before the concert. We were walking into the concert, and then I had the camp on Saturday.
Oh my God.
This is going so far off of the initial question.
Yeah, whatever.
But so going to the concert, like, limping. You know when you just roll your ankle, it's like not terrible off the rip.
Right.
Go in.
You put weight on it, and like an hour later, you're like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah. So I was standing up, was like kind of just doing my thing, not bouncing around as much. And then this was when they dropped that EP with Roses and Waterbed, which I can name 3 other songs you probably have never heard of. And before they were like crazy popular, because in the next year they played at the Enterprise Center.
Yeah.
So I was super into them at that point.
This was probably my freshman year of college. My senior year?
It was your freshman, because I was a junior, so you would have been a freshman in college.
Yeah, because I remember when Roses came out, dude, that was going nuts.
Shit was going everywhere.
Yeah.
So Roses, that song came on like kind of towards the end of the set, and I wasn't jumping at all at that point. I was like, I got to jump for this song. I jumped up, didn't even roll it again, just like came down, and I was like, I just made that so much worse. So I was literally like limping out, still just so happy, but like, and like kind of drunk, so I wasn't thinking about what I was gonna have to do. Go to bed, whatever. He drops me off, wake up the next morning. I have a picture of my foot that I would like to show you. It's literally like,
yeah, send me that.
It is disgusting.
Like the size of a softball kind of a thing?
Yeah, like black, blue. And my dad comes in, he was like, the only time I've ever seen him, like, really mad at me, he was like, are you fucking kidding me? He was like, all right, what are we going to do? Like, are you just not going to go or what? And I got in the shower, I was like, I'm going to go. And I was, like, so upset. I actually didn't know what to do. That was, like, the most ashamed of myself I've ever felt.
Right, because it was like, total taxing by chance.
And they almost didn't let me go to the concert because they were like, you understand that this is something that I was going to go play lacrosse in college. This is something that's a big deal. I go, I understand. I want to go to this so bad.
Right.
So they let me go. And then, of course, that happens. And then go to the tournament, just wrapped it up, took a bunch of ibuprofen. I had a connecting flight. My dad went and found ice, like iced it in between flights. I had it elevated. And then, of course, flying, just
traveling in general. God damn.
Got to dinner on Friday night. Felt a little bit better. And then Saturday morning, those camps have trainers and shit. We had been icing it and, like, wrapped it up the bunch. There was, like, little to no circulation at one point, but I was like, I need to get this. This needs to be smaller.
We got to compress this.
This needs to look like a normal ankle.
Pushing blood other ways.
So there's, at one point after I took it off, like, the blood, like, pushes, like, above your sock line, too. Yeah. It was all over the place. But I go to the trainer.
Dude, that's disgusting.
At the beginning of the day to get it just wrapped up. I was like, okay, this is perfect. I can actually get it, like, where I can't move it. And I sit on the trainer's table. I go, okay, this does not look good. Just wrap it up a little bit better than what you normally would do.
I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. And I took off because I had it wrapped before.
Yeah.
And then she opened it up and was like, "You good?" It's like, "Yeah, just wrap it up."
We're
so
fine.
then she'd get put like, you probably gotten your ankle taped like that.
Yeah.
And just absolutely make it.
You can't move it.
Added like an extra few layers to it, and then I went, and that was like the best that I've ever played.
No way.
Yes, I literally got a write-up for, that was like all of like a handful of the colleges that I was talking to like at the time, like reached out to me after that tournament.
That's incredible.
And I got a write-up like in Blue Chip's website.
Jesus Christ.
I was like on like a players to watch thing, which just I never talked about actually. This is like probably like the only sort of like platform I ever talked about. I like kind of talked about it to my friends at the time. I didn't even know I made like that kind of write-up until one of the coaches that I was talking to like via text
saw hey, I saw this.
And texted, hey, I saw this, like, congratulations. And I was taking a shit at CBC. I was like, there's no way. And I pulled it up.
That's like, wrong Jack, buddy.
And they spelled my fucking last name wrong, too, on the
hilarious.
website. They spelled it with an E-N. But I was like, is that me? And I was like, from St. Louis, Missouri. And I was like, that's really cool. I go, you guys have no idea how fucked up my ankle was that whole time.
That's lit, dude.
Yeah.
Before every game, you should just like kick the door or something.
Yeah, or exactly. Or just like have somebody, like, you just step on my ankle.
Yeah, please. You can't play this, please.
Just do it.
Step on my ankle.
So going back to your initial question of, okay, so when I'm to the side here, it's a little fuzzy. That was why.
Yeah, I gotta fuck with stuff. And there's like a buzzing noise, and I'm sorry, but I don't really know what it is.
I noticed that. Before, on like the past episodes, I actually wanted to say something, but off the rip, I didn't want to just come at guns hot.
I'm probably like 99% sure that it has to do with those other microphones are on the ground and they're still plugged in.
That's probably it.
But I'm just so fucking busy that I've just got so much shit going on that I haven't had time. And it's on my to-do list. And it'll get done. It'll sound better. Sorry, people. It's the 5th episode.
Chill out.
Yeah.
So
keep going.
So that was my first concert that led me into that tailspin of a story. But I just started to follow it a lot more, and then was just always
after
into
that concert.
it.
You started following a lot.
After that concert, I started to like follow.
Because that concert was probably fucking crazy.
It was awesome. Yeah. And then I was even just going back and forth. I still love rap music, and at that time, it's definitely like top 2 of me. Like,
oh, you grew up on it.
Yes, like Carter 4 was my all-time album. You and your buddy that came in here last was talking about Mac Miller.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff that just has an impact on you.
Exactly, and that was just like what was in front of me at the time too. So I was always into music. Like I would, especially like Blue Slide Park and the Carter 4. Those were 2 albums that the first 2 albums I was able to listen to all the way through. So the DJing kind of comes back to just like music as an impactful thing in general.
Yeah.
Because
I love that.
I caught myself noticing, because I'm like a creative person. I enjoy writing and doing all that kind of jazz, but not to a super serious level.
Right. I enjoy the creative part, your creativity.
So I started to catch myself listening to like and finding lyrics of like either that's hilarious, like 2 Chainz has just this Titty Boy just has
Titty Boy my alias. I fucking love dude. He's so goddamn funny.
But he has like some of his verses like they're hilarious at the same time, but then I actually step back and think about it, like that's so crazy that he just thought about that.
Right. He somehow threw that one into a song.
Yes.
Like that's pure. That's like, yeah, that's him being funny, but it's him like in pure creativity.
Exactly. And of course, every time I talk about that, everyone goes like jokingly goes, yeah, she got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty. I go, that man's a poet. That's what I say a lot. That's the immediate rebuttal.
That is modern art, right? I don't give a fuck what you say.
2 Chainz is Picasso.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
So I started to notice lyrics and stuff.
Like original more. Eminem, dude. Like how he would talk about like his butthole and like farting and stuff.
Yes,
like
but it was tie it together.
Yeah,
to other
and
words.
It worked. And those are some like arguably better songs.
Exactly. So my brother at that point, since I was younger than him, had no say over any sort of
you're in his car
media like intake.
Right.
So I was just listening to that stuff all the time, and I loved it. He showed me Mac Miller too, because he was the same age as him, and I remember him thinking, "Oh, this kid's the same age as me." And then so I listened to all of that, started to notice lyrics and stuff a lot more, and I would laugh or ask my friends, like, "Yo, did you guys hear that part? That part was so cool." And a lot of times, sometimes they would say, "Yeah, that's cool," and other times they would just think, "No, like this, it sounds."
Fuck you talking about? This is a good part of the song, but I don't know what you're talking about.
This song's cool, but I still noticed I would start to read into stuff a lot more, and then
like the actual backbone of the music, kind of a deal.
So I started thinking about that more, and then once I started to get more entrenched into EDM music, I think you need just a ASMR of every burp that you do into the into the microphone. Yeah, just
middle of someone talking.
So I started to listen to live sets all the time as I started to work out.
Those are sick.
I started to, on all over SoundCloud and Mixcloud.
Yeah.
And so I started to work out more like once I got to college. Especially that was another thing of I stopped playing lacrosse and I remember the first feeling of like, what do I do with my time?
Yeah, I've got so much time on my hands.
It was so weird because Budship at least I had something at least to do like every once in a while, and then second semester came around, I literally thought like I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's literally why people don't do well in college, because they've got so much time they don't know what to do with it. They just fuck off.
But I couldn't play at the time. I was way too scared to play lacrosse. And
you went to Mizzou all 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would change my route. I would walk past the rec I would walk past Stank to go into that entrance, and I started to have to change it in the spring because I didn't want to see them playing lacrosse. So I would literally walk into the other entrance because of that. I can't look at it.
Yeah, can't do that.
And so I started to listen to these live sets a lot more and understand sets and how they put songs together. And at first I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I literally have in my notes, probably back from then before I even thought about DJing, was this transition into this drop was so cool. And we try to pick it out, and then think this was sick. So I started to notice that a lot more and would listen to same artists and think, oh, he did this differently this time. And then if I was listening to a different live set, like as a certain build-up was coming, that like, oh, I know he's going to drop it into this. And then start to figure out how to piece certain stuff together.
And then you start thinking about it on your own.
Yeah, because I'm a really like analytical person. Before I want to do something, I have to make sure that I know everything about it, which is so stupid because that just stops me from actually doing it.
I'm the same way. I have to know everything before I do anything.
Yeah.
And so it slows you down a lot of the time.
It does, instead of just fucking like doing it and
just
figuring
fucking
it out.
Send it, yeah.
So
anyone listening, stop overthinking things. Just fucking do it already.
You're gonna be stupid regardless.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an idiot.
That's one of my favorite quotes. If we could just pull out every time you say I'm an idiot or I don't know shit.
Dude, I don't know, dick. And people are like, what are you gonna do in the podcast? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything. Keep going, yeah.
That's funny. On that, your buddy, how he said, he goes, yeah, I'm going to go do Jack's podcast. She goes, what are you going to talk about? I don't know. My mom asked me I had the exact same exchange with her 2 hours ago.
What's the podcast about? I don't know. We're going to see where it goes.
Well, my dad was asking me about it. He goes, well, what's it going to be about? What's it going to be about? And I go, like, I don't know. That's kind of the thing. You just talk about shit.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we have stuff to talk about, but it's just like a genuine conversation about shit. So actually my original idea, sorry, we were on a tangent at whatever. I don't fucking care. My original idea for the name of the podcast was Shoot the Shit. And it was just going to be me and my buddies shooting the shit. And then when the other name came up, I was like, no, that's too fucking perfect.
How'd the other name come up?
Honestly, I don't know. It just literally came to my head one day. Actually, it was Andy. It was his Twitter bio. It still might be his Twitter bio. Andy Hoover. It said Jack of all trades. And like one day I just saw that. I was like, fuck me. My name's Jack. Hold on. I can do something with that. And then it was just, I don't know, whatever. But anyways, analytical, and you were breaking stuff down.
Yeah, so before I even thought about, I was thinking about doing it, like, okay, how would I do this? And then I started to think back about, I was always playing music for people. And then I remember, like,
just like at parties and
yes,
shit.
and I remember, like, and like a lot of people do that, so I'm not like taking away.
Yeah,
from
no,
that. Like,
sure.
I'm not special by any means. I just liked to do it.
Yeah.
But then I started to catch myself looking back, and I would be queuing up a bunch of songs, and then I remember if I was playing, I could never play just like hardcore EDM stuff for a really long time because then people were just like, dude, you gotta chill out on that.
Treading into dangerous waters, right?
Exactly, and I knew that, and I still, that's what I enjoy so many different kinds of music that I would take a Dua Lipa song, and then that was Dua Lipa was always my bridge from pop music to EDM. It was Dua and Rihanna, my two queens.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm going to see her in Chicago.
Dua or Rihanna?
Dua. Oh, I can see Rihanna.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah. And so I would notice that I would catch myself. I would be like, okay, if I'm going to play this and if I'm going to go into a rap song, I also can't go from Calvin Harris to Kodak Black right away.
Right.
So there's popular rap songs that are in between that.
For sure.
That bridge people into it like, get them subconsciously
ready,
comfortable with that. So I didn't realize that. I would just do that for fun because I enjoyed looking at people's reactions and stuff. And then once I started to think more about doing DJ, I was like, that's literally what DJing is.
Transitioning into one thing and the other.
Yeah, and knowing like what to play when.
So when did you buy it for your first deck?
So I got my.
So that was freshman year.
So
like what you were just talking about, all that was freshman year.
Yeah, so that was anywhere between like freshman and sophomore year, just like a long span of time of me thinking about it.
Okay.
And then listening to other just entrepreneurial stuff too, and learning more about what musicians do beyond just.
It's a whole thing.
In front of there's a whole business aspect to it too that I wanted to learn about.
All thought out.
Exactly, and I'm like still learning about now, which is why I want to do that licensing job. And I totally lost my train of thought of where I was going.
First set of decks.
So it was my junior year, and we were at a Pike tailgate with my dad and some of our other buddies. So before this, I thought about it more because that was kind of why I chose strategic communications, and I was taking a marketing class. It was Marketing 101. Did you take that with, or Marketing 1000 with... Joel Poor. Shout out Joel. If you're listening, man, I love you. You're my favorite teacher.
Didn't he?
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Oh, sorry, it was like some Zoom shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Keep going.
We
don't need to get into that.
We don't need to get into that at all. And he was talking about how people that like millennials and down, the way that they spend money and what they spend their money on is...
Millennials down as in like me and younger.
Yes. Okay. So I think we're probably in the same generation of Gen Z.
I don't know where it cuts
I think
off,
it goes like millennial and then Gen Z, and we would only be 2 years away from each other.
It's all the same fucking thing to me. Unless you're like 16, that's a cutoff for me.
Zoomer, I think. Yeah. So then they talked about like they spend more money on experiences and less on houses and
1,000%,
and
1,000%.
all this different kind of stuff. And there was factual information behind it. And throughout that class of everything he was talking about, every time like my head would just go to how would this put me into like a position as a like, musician or like as a DJ. And just subconsciously that I would think about that, and then I'd catch myself.
Pop in your mind.
Just pop in my head, and then I would think about it, write shit down, and then just think, this is how I could do this, this is how I could do this. And
dude, I'm the same way. Sorry to interrupt, but like anytime,
exactly.
like this is like all the podcast notes, and like anytime anything would ever pop into my mind, I just write it down. And anytime anything ever pops up, I've got notes for fucking everything. Nelly, yeah, what's up, Nelly?
And Jason Tatum.
Yeah, they're
Jenna
gonna get,
Fisher,
yeah, baby. Those were all. I was just like thinking of who could come on, and it was just St. Louis people. But hey, maybe
they can. No,
maybe you never know. Keep going.
So then we were at a tailgate and was kind of drunk, and And I was thinking about that, and my dad is, shout out to my dad, as I actually know he's going to listen to it. Maybe not this far in, so we'll see. But we always talk about being creatives. He's a really creative person, too. And
back to the music thing.
Exactly. And that just is kind of something that was probably subconscious, kind of just pushing it through. He would always ask me, just say, what do you want to do? And for a while, obviously, it was lacrosse. And after lacrosse,
in high school, it's lacrosse. Right.
Even in college, I was like, I could still do this. I thought about that. I literally almost went and played at a D2 school after I graduated. And went and because the Mizzou's club coach went and got a job at a D2 school.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I played club. It's Wheeling University, Wheeling Jesuit.
Yeah, familiar.
So he coached us when I was on the team my sophomore year. So it was when you guys were all seniors, which was so sick. I played like Noah and Brian.
Yeah, dude, they were good. You guys were really good that year.
Yeah, it was really fun.
You guys made a tournament, didn't you?
We almost did. We lost in we lost in the conference tournament to IU.
That's right.
Which I kind of tweaked my knee in that game too. So I was like, I gotta stop playing lacrosse. Yeah. But then of course 2 years later I was like, I can do this.
Sign me naturally, back up, baby.
Yeah. So I was literally about I went there. I could have, then I just decided not to. But so then he was just always asking me what I wanted to do. So those conversations just kind of come up, and at that point I think like that day I'd been thinking about it a lot more. And I was talking to him about it, and he goes, I had talked to him about it a handful of times before, too. And he just goes, Jack, you talk to me about this all the time. When are you going to fucking do something about it?
About the music shit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, shout out your pops. Yeah. That's sick.
Not in any aggressive way possible. And he still does that to this day. It's like,
right.
When you, like, are you, like, you
he's like, shut up already. Do something.
Fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then.
That's awesome.
At that time, I don't think he ever had like a job at school or anything. And like, I don't know. And I definitely could have bought a $150, $200 board. And I was like, I don't know, I can't do this. I don't know if I could just drop that money on it right now. And he goes, how much is it? I go 150 and Venmoed me on the spot.
No way.
Yeah.
Just hooked it up.
Which makes me feel a little shitty about it, but
no, but at the
not
same
at
time,
all.
yeah, I mean, it's 150. Like, sure, it's a lot. It's not a lot of money. No. And like, shout out to your pops for supporting you and like being like, go fucking get it, kid.
Yeah. So that was he goes, buy this today.
Is that what this is?
No. Okay. So I started doing it. I think if you scroll down a little bit, you could see like the basement. One of my friends who lives on East Campus. If you have a little help with that.
42 to 45. All right, yeah, so you had the deck.
So that was what I used for a long time, like literally the most entry-level controller that you can get.
You started. That's the main thing. You got something going.
Came with the software and everything. I was able to play music over a speaker without using my phone. That was pretty much what I did at first. Yeah. And then like throwing in an echo here and there, maybe a little backspin. No one else. I didn't even know what I was doing. Yeah. People would be like, yo, do this. I'd do it. It'd sound terrible to a lot of people, but like, no, that was sweet. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So
learning process.
It is
something new.
So I was one of my best friends, shout out Paige, and 1613 Wilson.
1613 East Campus, baby.
Yes, sir. That's where the legends are born.
I fucking love East Campus. I love East Campus.
So if you scroll down a little bit, I think there's a picture that I have. Yeah, it's that one right there on the far right. Of just this unfinished basement, and my friend.
Some real college shit right here.
Well, because this was I started doing it, of course, during COVID. That's like our senior year in the fall. So 10B wasn't open. Willie's didn't open until late in the spring.
Yeah.
So I started to figure this out. I started to reach out to the bars and stuff. They're like, we're not doing anything like that.
Right.
And at that point, 10B they just started shoving all of their shit down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to just keep trying, and then I would do it in my apartment to my roommate, and like, dude, Mike, can you just listen to this and tell me if this sounds good or not? And he goes, I don't know if I'd know the difference, but
yes,
he was always down for it. Let's see it. So shout out Mike too, and they would they were all the girls that live at that apartment were all hanging, or that live at that house were all hanging out at my apartment. And she goes, I think we want to have a really big party. And at that point, dude, kids got literally suspended for throwing. I mean, granted, this was a fat party that happened within
I heard about that.
The first week or so of being at school.
Yeah, I remember about that.
It was wild. And like the kid literally I'm pretty sure they got suspended, and I think one kid might have gotten expelled because there was like 500 people there, and it was
the only thing to do.
COVID
college
too.
kids.
They're like, they can't, and of course, literally Columbia, Missouri would be the only fucking school to do that.
Right.
Instead of every other
COVID's
school.
a myth.
Yeah.
No. I mean, fuck, you go west of West County, COVID's a myth.
Yeah. And they would... She goes, I think we want to have a 10B party. And at that point, it had kind of died down a little bit. So Como PD was all over it.
Like, they'd show up at your door and knock.
Yeah. Like, one of my friends, they almost got a ticket. They said if they come like 2 or 3 times, they'd get a ticket. And each tenant would have to pick $500 or some shit like that. So the city of Columbia probably racked up money during that time.
Big time.
And so they were super strict on it out the gate, but then just kind of chilled out. Mm-hmm. would just knock and just say, guys, just
keep it down.
Can't do this.
Come on.
And then would leave. And then it started to just like not be a problem at all. Mm-hmm. Except in Brookside. It was a problem in Brookside.
I heard about that, yeah.
And then, yeah. Brookside, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Stop scamming college students.
So then she was like, I think we're going to have a 10B party. I go, oh, you should just let me DJ at it. She goes, and I was saying that like half jokingly too.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh my gosh, kid you, that would be so much fun.
She was probably ecstatic.
She
was.
Oh
my God, I'm going to have a DJ at my party.
So we literally had this
Is her?
No, that's not her. That's my other friend, Tess.
What's up, Tess?
And she goes, that would be so much fun. So then they got closer, and then...
So this was like the first time you did it for a large group of people.
For
quote, party.
Any group of people.
Outside of your roommate.
Yeah, outside of my roommate. And there was... Because that was one of the first parties that... like, look at the ceiling.
That's so... Dude, that's East Campus right there, baby.
That is I love my...
some rigged up shit.
Yeah. And so then we just said... Look at that. Like this. So... I asked her about it, rolled up with a speaker that is not meant to be DJ'd with. Literally one of those. It was a big ass speaker. You know, like those Bluetooth ones that light up around.
Yeah, like the Sony ones that you buy at Best Buy.
It's a big ass speaker.
It's a good speaker.
Yeah, but so I would just plug my laptop into that, and then like had the sound coming from my laptop with my board. And I wish I couldn't. So this software had Spotify in it, which was like one of the first of its kind, like for that type of software. I was gonna say
that's wicked.
Because obviously with licensing stuff, you can't, and copyright, you can't do that. So you could, at that point, they could use it, but you couldn't record anything because obviously you didn't like buy or pay for any of the songs. So I couldn't record any of the sets that I did. So I played at her house a handful of times, and then I started to do my other friends' apartment parties, and then I couldn't
record any of them.
So, but I say that because they probably were so fucking bad. And
it's probably good you didn't record.
They were probably but they were probably bangers because I was literally just playing songs at a party.
Bunch of kids wasted.
But I would just like put in random loops of just like the beginning of a song or the outs, and I was just thinking about what I did. So I would do that a lot more, and then it got to a point where my friends kind of did some marketing for me. If they would ever talk to me, like, there was like a DJ at your party, right? Not knowing that it was literally my first time doing it.
Who cares?
And so then some of my people that I didn't know started to ask me to do it through their friends.
Friends of friends.
Yeah. So that was when I started to get paid a little bit.
Friend,
yeah.
whatever.
So I started to get paid a little bit doing that. It's like, I don't know you. Mm-hmm. So if each of your roommates gives me like $15, then that's cool. I'd get like $50 for
your money for the weekend.
So fire.
Yeah.
And it would be fun. Then I met new people.
Dude, getting paid $50 in college, dude, that makes you fucking weak. I'm lit if I'm giving $50.
Yeah, so lit. So I started to do that. And then they had one more party.
So when was this?
This was senior year. This was this past fall and spring.
Okay,
of 2021.
Roughly 18 months ago.
Yes. Okay. So this was like all when this started happening. And then I got one night, I would drink and would try not to get too fucked up because I tried to focus on what I was doing. But at that point, I didn't know enough to really care a lot to just be dead ass sober.
Right.
So one of the parties I got really fucked up, and I just blacked out. I don't remember like the end, like the bottom half of it. And then I woke up, and then I went to like mess with my board a little bit more, and like the tempo fader, a pretty important part of it, just like didn't work. And I thought about it. I was like, I was blacked out. I was like, that's on me. That was just really fucking stupid.
You spilled something on it.
I spilled something on it. Dude, there's people. That was a small basement. People were all over the place. What scared me the most is my laptop, because that was all my school shit too. Yeah. The DJ stuff I could whatever don't care. That's like my laptop that I have to go to class with on Monday.
You got a paper due Wednesday.
Yes,
kind of
exactly.
So that was what bricks.
Yes, and just drunk ass people walking around with like drinks and stuff. I literally people that are my close friends that would like be talking to me, like leaning over and have like their drinks in their hand. I'd be like, guys, I love you, but just move your you don't have to just move your drink this way. Like, I love you, but I do not trust you right now. Like, you're gonna drop this.
Dude, when I worked at my house, like by the DJ booth, like they literally had door guys stand next to the DJ booth so people wouldn't get too close to the DJ booth. Because, I mean, I don't know prices, but, like, the shit in my house, like...
It's like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. You're talking about light shows. You're talking about smoke cannons. You're talking about fucking 100-foot LED boards with PA systems everywhere. I mean, when they were like, we got people up on the stairs when I first started working there. I was like, fuck that. And then I walked up there. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how it goes, because then it's so funny too, because then I'll notice people that understand that a little bit more if they come up to talk to me, like people that are my friends that DJ or just know about it will make a point to keep their drink over here and then just walk up to say what's up to me, like, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the little things.
Exactly.
Right.
So so I started to do that to the board that was in that first picture. That one.
This black one up here?
Yeah. So that's a newer one. That's literally just one step up from that. That's not anything crazy, because
November. Oh, this was a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So how long have you had this one?
Probably since like May. No, it was early because I got it. I did one party with it probably since the spring.
And like, what's the like?
That was 250. The one that I had before was 150.
So if you go from 150 to 250, and like 250 to like, let's say 800, and then like 800 to like 1,500, like what is the actual difference between those?
There's a bunch in between. So sound-wise, nothing. That's really more of what you can do. So the way that Pioneer does it, I'm going to try to explain this without just like talking for way too long.
Layman's terms here.
So
I'm an idiot. Come on.
So when you're in a club, like a nightclub, which is what like, I would aspire to be into.
For sure.
No laptop, just a flash drive, and like what you would see like at a video of somebody like Martin Garrix, like at a music festival.
Really, just a flash drive? That's crazy.
So there's other obviously lights and stuff for separately, but for the music, that's so if you see a video of Martin Garrix or anybody. You notice there's not a laptop or anything. There's just screens that come up from it. Mm-hmm. So those are called CDJs. But the way that Pioneer sets it up is that if I were to go to a club, it would be set up almost identical to that. Mm-hmm. And it's really just the same thing. So technology-wise, there's 2 decks where I can play 2 songs at the same time. And then there's 4 where I can play 4 of them at the same time, or obviously like interchange them between 4 of them. And then...
the vocals, the beat, the drums, whatever, so of each individual song.
Yeah, or then like have like this song loaded up over here and this song loaded up over here, and then these 2 that are playing.
Right.
And then some of them you don't even need a laptop. They're their own that have a big ass screen on them that have those, 2 decks on them. So those it's just that all of that technology is in there. So you would use your laptop to make up any like loops or edits or stuff like that, and then export that and then to a flash drive, and then you can plug that into that board and just only need that board.
God, that's fucking crazy.
There's a bunch of other stuff to that. Just another thing that's literally as soon as I started to learn about it, just
that's like
whole other world.
That's like the main difference between them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just the outputs too. Like that one is literally just RCA, which you probably know a little about outputs now. Just in like different different chords, like there's like XLRs versus a 1/4 inch.
Dude, yeah, I know a little bit about it. Keep going.
So that's the biggest difference in price point is the size of them, because the software is the same. What I'm looking at on my laptop is the same thing that somebody with a $1,300
it's like buying a laptop versus buying a gaming computer. It can do the same thing. It's just at what level can it do that thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like you could whenever I like this show that I did at Mizzou on Thursday,
I saw that Blue Note. Mm-hmm. That looked dope.
That was sick.
That looked really dope.
And so this my buddy who was the one that kind of like helped put it together. Mm-hmm. Shout out Sarvak, and he has this massive, really nice board. Mm-hmm. But we both use the same program, so all I have to do is just plug his board into my laptop, and then I can do everything.
Okay.
The same.
That's convenient.
Yeah. But other than
fluidity across different venues.
Yeah, which is the point of like that being them like having a hold, which there's other companies that are huge, but like Pioneer, obviously with music in general, is a huge thing.
So like when it comes to like playing, like let's say like the Blue Note versus like Rise or Crown Room or BPV, at what point, or like fuck it, let's say like what's it called? The place in Vegas. I forget what it's called.
Omnia?
Yeah. Like, so at what point at what point are the boards different, and at what point do you not bring a board? Is there that point?
Yeah. So places that have, like even my house, like I wouldn't have brought a board to
right.
Because at least I think, so you just show up. You like have to ask them beforehand, like what they have, so you like know what you're going into.
Yeah.
But it really just depends on if that bar or club has invested in their own DJ system, if they think we want this to be something that looks and feels professional.
Right.
So we're going to spend this money on it because it creates this experience for the people that are at this place. Like Wheelhouse, they have
their own
CDJs, they have their whole thing that you could just plug into and go into. So it really just depends on bars that have a dance floor or want to create.
And that probably just makes it easier on there, and that just makes it easier on getting performers to come there.
We just need to show up.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so dope, dude. I find this shit so interesting because I've got Bogey. He was supposed to come on. He wasn't supposed to. I tried to get him on last weekend, a few days ago, and he just had shit going on, and he goes out of town tomorrow. And then my buddy Bennett, he DJs a shitload at the lake, and like he'll do something I wanted to ask you about. He does a lot of I can't talk. He does a lot of live Twitch DJ streams.
That's sick.
Yeah, and so like it's interesting to hear like obviously it's different perspectives, but like these different experiences and how you guys go about this shit, because it's like such a wild industry. Mm-hmm. And like it's fucking. I feel that because obviously a lot is blown up because of social media, but like I feel like social media and this COVID shit, I feel like that people really getting into like DJing and like going this route is like fucking blown up.
There was literally a Pioneer was like on back order for all of their entry level, like my board, shit. And the other ones, they were on back order for them as soon as COVID hit. I think it was like in what was it, March of 2019, and then into that those just flew off the shelves.
That's crazy.
And even now, because of the chip shortage, they are all their bigger boards are just all on back order too. Like it wouldn't be until
fucking like
summer of 2022.
God damn, that's crazy.
So, but yeah, it did blow up because it really just takes people from, wow, I want to do something, and this is something that I've thought about for a long time, and now I have no other distractions of going to a bar or going out at all.
So like, I saw so many people's like Instagram stories and shit of like just like how we're going back to like how this shit is just like it's way bigger than you think it is.
Yeah.
Like way bigger. And like there were people like just people that I knew in Chicago, Kansas City, whatever. Like it was like let alone like the Mizzou parties, like it would be them and like 6 people in their living rooms, but like they wanted to have that kind of experience. And just one of them picked up like $100 board just like fuck around with it.
Exactly.
Which I respect so much because it's just like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, why not?
Why not?
Why not try? Why not have some fun with it?
Because I loved playing music at parties anyway, and that was just something that I was, at a certain point at the beginning, was doing almost the exact same thing with my same Spotify playlist, but literally the fact that I had a board in front of me and connected to a bigger speaker.
Yeah, it looks legit. It looks way more. Hey, dude, you went from nothing to $50 a night. That's something. True, yeah. That's something.
So that was, and then another bigger inspiration, because I had it for a while. And I didn't start doing, so I got that board in the fall of junior year, and then started doing those parties more senior year, because then I went to Barcelona in the spring and brought
That's a real EDM experience. They fucking Love that shit.
I brought it with me.
Oh, no way?
Yeah.
Power move.
That was coming on the plane for sure.
Power move. Not the skateboard, baby, the decks.
No, sure. The decks are coming off. And so that was a huge thing because then we started going to clubs. And, I mean, I'd been to a club before, but for a while, the only thing, like I knew they existed and I understood the environment, but either my house or Wheelhouse or 10B, where that's the kind of the environment. But when it's something that is
a Barcelona level club.
Did you go? Because I know you said you were in Valencia. Did you?
I listened to that podcast the other day. I'm so dumb. I was in Alicante, not Valencia.
Did you go to Barcelona?
Well, we went to Barcelona for a weekend.
What'd you do?
I don't remember, but we did a lot of everything. But I couldn't tell you the names of the clubs we went to. But we went to, I think we were there for like 48 hours, something like that. Maybe like 2.5 days. But one of the nights we went to one, and it was like, where are we? It blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
And it was like the same shit. Like it was like because like my house and 10 Below, Wheelhouse, 10 Roof, whatever. Out. Right. But, like, doing that, and then, like, our forum was up in Chicago. Like, I think that was Omnia. No, that's the one in Vegas.
That's in Vegas.
Prism
Yeah.
in Chicago. And then I went to Vegas for Labor Day one year. And, like, when we went to, I don't think we went to Omnia. I don't remember where we went.
There's a bunch
Yeah,
of
there's
them.
literally 100. But, like, it was just, like, holy fuck. And there's, like, quite literally thousands of people in these bitches.
And some of those people, it's different going from a college town to where it's really fun, but you're just going there more so to get fucked up.
Right.
And then like the music. And
you go to my house to get wasted.
Some people in those cities will go there dead ass sober.
Yeah.
And one, because if you're going to get a drink there, it's going to be $50 or something like that. But then they just go there and then just want to dance, just want to like be around the music, which was something that was so crazy to me at the time from when we went to Barcelona. Because we would pregame, then we'd get there and then want to drink like, you'd get 2 or 3 drinks, and they would put in those like smaller, tall cylinder drink glasses, that are skinnier, and they'd put these 2 just fucking huge ice cubes in them, and then just pour it in there, and you'd get a half a shot.
Yeah, literally. For 15 fucking euros.
Yeah, but every time I was there, we had such a good time. There was one club that we went to where me and my buddy were there until 4 o'clock in the morning. And we didn't know what time it was.
You had no idea, you're just vibing.
At that point, too, I had a separate phone that I would only take out with me that I had the European data plan on. Because I was supposed to be there for the semester.
Okay.
So I had to get all of that.
Was this the COVID semester?
Yeah.
When COVID hit. Okay.
So we went there January 28th, I want to say, and then was there until the beginning of March. We literally went to a music festival. It was called the music festival. It was in all of the Barcelona nightclubs. Huge headline, huge DJs that were there.
Wicked.
Which that was kind of the pushing point for me was when I went there. I was literally at a club for 6 hours listening to these guys that I love.
Right.
And then just
like who?
It was Oliver Heldens. And if you've seen that, heard that song Virus.
Yeah.
Actually, that's Martin Garrix. But so this guy Oliver Heldens and Mike Williams.
I know Mike Williams.
Yeah. So 2 huge guys, and then we saw Griffin, Corella.
Wow, these are heavy hitters.
It was called the Broadfest. So it literally would pull kids that were studying abroad from all across Europe and go there. So at the time that it happened,
holy shit!
At the time that it happened, so this
the
happened.
Broadfest.
Yeah. So it was in the place in Barcelona we're in the Olympic area where they had the Olympics where they played in the basket. It was the basketball arena. That was one of the venues, and then the other venue was this club, this club that was in like this row of clubs on the beach. I think it was Shoko. I'm pretty sure it was Shoko. And then
that's where I went. Not that club, but that's the area that we went to.
You probably went to.
I couldn't even tell you. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
So then it was Shoko, and then another really cool venue.
Yeah.
And at that point when that had happened, everybody from Italy had already gotten sent home. So all the kids, so everywhere else in Europe, I think it was like Italy, and then maybe some parts of whatever countries would have been around Italy that a lot of kids would study abroad at. But in Barcelona, we were still kicking it. Like this
hadn't been a big thing.
Still going out, wasn't a big thing. And we, at this point, me and my 2 other guy friends, that I was on the trip with, we like every day would wake up and just check the numbers. Like, all right, guys, we getting sent home today or what?
We good?
We good?
We're so good.
Like, we can go to a nightclub. All right, I guess we're good.
We're going.
And so one of my best friends was literally in Milan. Mm-hmm. And then my other buddy that we visited that we saw at the same time was in Rome. Both of them got sent home, but they just said, like, you have to leave because ours was through Mizzou. So they kind of had a little bit more pull on what we were doing.
Yeah.
For them, it probably was similar. I don't know if you did it through the business school at all, but...
Yeah, we did.
So they did one of those ones where it just takes all of your elective credits. Mm-hmm. And does it so you can kind of do whatever you want. Yeah. So they said, like, you got to leave, but then they just said, all right, let's just pop over to Barcelona. That's where we know a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. So they came, and we went to this music festival at the beginning of March because it seemed like it was fine.
Yeah. You didn't think anything of it at the time.
Nothing of it at the time. Right. We just thought, like, yeah, that's weird. It's going to stay in Italy or whatever. And
that's all I thought, dude. I thought it was, when I first started hearing about it on the news, I was like, it's done in 2 weeks. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
And it wasn't like we were like, oh, fuck COVID. Like, this isn't a big deal. Yeah, it just wasn't a thought.
I thought it was just another flu.
Yeah, exactly. And we thought, okay, like, that's
as
shitty.
Everyone did.
Exactly. It's like, that's shitty over there.
Yeah.
Horrible, but then we'll just do our thing over here. Mm-hmm. Probably like every kid that was studying abroad in Italy just came to Barcelona or another European country, just walked in and was like, "What's up, dude?"
We're here now.
We're going out to a music festival in a poorly ventilated nightclub with a lot of people. So we did that, and I was like, "This is really cool," because I'd done that and a few other musical things while we were there, just for different nightclubs and DJs. Because my two other friends weren't into EDM music that much, so I'd be like, "Yo, this guy's playing at this club," and these are renowned clubs to where guys would come from the United States or across the world.
Quite literally other countries.
I go, we need to go to this club tonight to see this guy.
Yeah. It's like us going to Red Rocks to go see somebody.
Exactly. And
for people that haven't been to Europe, it's really easy to go to other countries over there.
Yeah.
Absurdly easy to go to other countries over there.
Yeah. And so then they would say, guys, we got to go. And like, all right, whatever. And then we would go, and for them, they would have a good time because it was just EDM music in a nightclub. But for me, I would like know who these guys were.
Right.
It was so cool.
Right.
It was awesome. That was really cool. And then we went home. That was not as cool, but
yeah,
it was cool that I even got to do that. So we got to see a game saw Barcelona play.
Damn, that's sick. At Camp Nou.
Saw Messi score like 5 goals.
Fuck me,
in a
dude.
Game. After the 5th goal, literally everyone started bowing down.
So sick. Cool. We went during the summer, so we didn't get to see any games, which was a bummer. But it was not like we missed out because it was never even an opportunity.
Did you go there at all to see just the?
Yeah, we toured Camp Nou.
That was sick.
It was nuts, dude. It was so nuts. Like I appreciated soccer, but I never realized.
How about having basketball and their hockey?
Yeah,
their
they had
just
everything.
Roller hockey. They
had a whole fucking name the sport, and there's an FC Barcelona team for it.
And it's pretty dope.
How do we get onto this?
Because you asked me about, I think it was just music, and then I started talking about, because when I was in Barcelona, that was like a bigger thing.
Oh, right,
I took my decks to Barcelona. That's a great question, though. I think that was the initial question.
I think that was the initial question.
And then I think that was the last pointed question that was said, and then it just kind of went off into that. Because I wanted to ask you about what were your things that you liked to do when you went to Europe.
Dude, we did it all. We were there for 6 weeks. It was classes for 4 weeks, and we traveled a week before and we traveled a week after, so it was 6 weeks total. And we had class Monday to Thursday. I think we had class Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we did group shit on Tuesdays. It was something like that. Or we had class Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I don't even remember now. But we did 6 countries in 6 weeks.
That's dope.
It was sick. But people are like, that's so crazy. It's like, yeah, well, you get over there, and to fly from Barcelona to fucking Milan is
$30.
It's $60 round trip. Like, no fucking shit are your mom gonna do that. And that's the whole thing while you're over there. You just got to do it while you're over there.
For sure.
You're not going to Spain for fucking 4 days. You're doing a fucking 2, 3, 4 week trip.
Yeah.
And we just mostly did just focused on travel. And when we were traveling, we were just doing tourist sightseeing and shit. But the bigger cities, when we were in Munich, we didn't do any clubs. We just tried to do pubs and stuff like that. which I loved Germany. I loved Germany. Like when we were in Barcelona, and literally the entirety that we were in Alicante. Oh, I actually looked this up the other day because I was telling someone about it. I think I was telling Andy about it. It's called like Alicante Burning Festival or something. Bonfires of Alicante.
Oh, was that what you were talking about where they had the DJs and everything on the street?
Yeah, dude.
I was literally listening to that today.
Dude. And this was, this shit, dude. And this was the first weekend that we got there. And there was just DJs everywhere. And dude, it was so fucking crazy. It was so crazy. And there was just massive blocked off areas of streets with DJs just throwing down. And so whenever we were in Spain, we did like clubs and stuff like that. But we just did, we went to the beach almost every day. Because we were essentially in a beach town, a beach city.
Oh, yeah. There's so much to do everywhere. You can't miss.
Right. And we had 6 weeks. We didn't do a semester. We did 6 weeks. So, like, any time, we did not have a rest day ever. It was just go, 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 which was dope. But I fucked with it a lot. I want to go back really badly. But this shit was utterly insane.
That looks wild.
And we had no idea.
Like, just showed up and that was what's going on.
We literally, we were in, where were we? We spent like 3 or 4 days in London, and then we spent like 3 or 4 days in like, I don't even remember where we were. And then from there, we went to Alicante, slept a night in Alicante, went out with like the hostel workers. They just like, it just happened to be like this chick from Maryland, this dude from like Iowa, and then this chick that was like studying abroad / doing like a work service thing for like a few years from like UT. And they was like, hey, we're American. And we're like, we are too. And they're like, we'll take you out. And we're like, let's go. And like the fucking first night, like, oh yeah, this is this weekend. And we were like, what?
It's pretty crazy seeing how easy it is to make friends with somebody else that's American.
Dude, literally, we'd be on trains.
From the United States.
Yeah, we'd be on trains, like, at dinner, and we'd hear, like, fluent English. And we'd be like, hey, wait a minute, where are you from?
Dude, we were at this very popular breakfast place in Barcelona with my one other buddy who's from St. Louis, and my other buddy who's from Denver. This person who's in line behind us, and we sit down, wearing a fucking blues hat.
No way.
Wearing a blues hat.
That's fucking awesome.
Crazy. We didn't end up saying what's up to them, but at one of the times we were. Did you go to any of the weed clubs in Barcelona?
I didn't, but a few of our people on the trip did.
Even just like weed aside, the atmosphere and just the business, and just how that.
They had to buy like a card, and they had to like do like knocks on a door, like in a back alley. But then, like when they went in, it was like a legitimate business and like a lounge club and all this shit.
Yeah. So the laws on that in Spain, there's interesting, just like culture. Just like you were saying with your other buddy, with just like the culture shock and just going somewhere different is so crazy.
It's wildly different.
So different. So with them, they could do that. That what they were doing was legal. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't. If I got caught, I couldn't just walk down the street smoking a joint.
Right.
And I could get like in a lot of trouble for that. Mm-hmm. Or even like leaving those premises with it. So I guess that was whatever deal that they had with the government. You can do this, but you can't. Like if you're gonna buy it from here, you have to keep it here.
And that was the whole thing. They could smoke it in there. Like there was like couches and shit and stuff in there.
It was really cool. So I thought about that whenever we came back. I was like, do these exist in the United States? And if they don't, they should, because...
Dude, I've got a whole note on here of stuff that I saw over there that I was like, this would fucking kill it back home.
Yes, which is crazy because it's like people do that the opposite way, like take American stuff to other countries, and then it's just like, oh, this is America. You can just label it like that. Yeah. Or with that, it's just an idea that hasn't gotten there yet. Music, very similar with like how that works too. It's like music that's popular in a different country for a while, then just makes its way over here somehow. Right. And then the first person that brings it over is this groundbreaking person that a lot of people probably don't like it at first. And and then you go somewhere else, like, oh, this is the music that they listen to. Like if someone took country, like an up and coming country artist, and brought them to the Netherlands.
I can't say that it was him that did it, but like in like a literal sense, like Pitbull probably made Latin music.
No, he probably did. That's a fantastic example.
And like there's a reason that he's Mr. Worldwide, because he is literally known across the fucking world.
There's this interview of him. He goes, "Hey, you type in Pitbull on Google, my name shows up first."
I fucking love Pitbull. Say what you want. That dude's a baller. I love that man. It is crazy. It's like all of it. And like when we were over there, it was funny. And like I was talking to Andy about this of like, it didn't matter what club we were in. It didn't matter what country we were in. It didn't matter what city we were in. And it didn't matter if we knew the lyrics of the song. Everyone was fucking with it.
If you're vibing.
Everyone was on the same wavelength. And I love it for that. And like how you kind of mentioned it earlier, like me and Andy talked about that, like music is so impactful on your life, on everybody's life in so many different ways. And it's wild how it can literally shape what you do.
It has, and it shapes like what even other people do within the industry or around it. Mm-hmm. But
because like the job you've been talking about, like you start looking into music, you start getting into music, and then you realize, and like how there's artists and like there's a whole business side to it. You think it's just music.
Yeah.
And then like you really start looking into it, and it's hundreds of levels deeper than you ever thought it was.
Yeah. So I would listen to podcasts. I would read articles. I was just like, I need to learn about as much about this as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's literally like anything else. It's so easy to just not. God, this sounds so cheesy if I say
dude,
that.
Hey, dude, I've said it 100 times.
Like it's so easy to not learn about other stuff. Mm-hmm. Just be like, all right, this is what I know. I'm gonna do this, and like maybe take a little side turn every once in a while. Put the blinker on.
Might watch a new YouTube video. Might read a new headline. Whatever.
And even like watching a YouTube video, but like if you dive into it after that, I love any of my friends that are into conspiracy theories.
Send them, dude. I'm all about it.
I will
fucking give them to me.
I'll ask them about it all the time. Anytime I get somebody that I know is really passionate about something that is just super random or just something I know nothing about, I love asking them about it.
Dude, that's the whole thing with this fucking podcast. Like, I love it. Because it's like, I'm never going to learn about it on my own. Like, I'll read a Wikipedia page about it.
Yeah.
I'll watch a few YouTube videos, but until I get to actually talk to someone about whatever the fuck it is.
Doesn't
you're just scratching the surface. Yeah. Like, it doesn't, I'll read the article, then I'll forget about it a week later.
Exactly. If someone brings it up, like, I remember what the headline for that was. Yeah, but what was the first sentence?
Like my dumbass, I'll read one Wikipedia thing. And they'll be like, isn't this? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, that one thing. Like, no, Jack, you fucking...
Not that.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
But it is, and that's what's so cool. And the idea of asking other people about that, like the way that you can just like see people's reactions of how differently they talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of learning about conversation and like psychology of behavioral psychology is really interesting too. Mm-hmm. Of how a lot of conversations are just someone like the other person waiting to talk.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I mean, I definitely do that sometimes.
We all do.
Like more often than
you love to hear yourself talk. That's just the whole thing.
And I try not to, but it happens.
Oh yeah, I know for sure.
Because for me, I get really excited about like the next thing that I want to say, and then I have to like make an effort to be like, okay, stop thinking about that. Like actually listen to what they're saying.
Dude, like that, I'm in sales, and like my first sales job, like that's literally, people are like, oh, sales is so easy, like you just talk to people. It's like, no, the hardest thing about sales is you shutting up.
Yeah. And
like you asking the question and getting the other person to fucking ramble for 5 minutes.
Yep.
Because once you start talking, you're just like, oh my God, shut up.
Mm-hmm. That's something that's literally another thing that my dad has consistently told me is like, because I've thought about doing different sales stuff or even like doing a podcast too, of like interviewing like DJs around St. Louis and then trying to expand that. And he was like, Jackie, you're great at talking to people. You gotta shut up a little bit.
Yeah, let them talk once in a while.
He's like, I love you, but just like, just shut up a little bit. Like, you're right, I do.
It's true.
You're right.
But like, that's the whole thing with this. It's like, we would probably have these. I've literally said this. Sorry, I'm repeating myself for fucking 4 people that have gotten this far.
Yeah, we're further in now. We got like 5% on now.
Yeah, whatever, maybe 1%. It might just be me on my walk. But like, it's the whole thing. It's like, I don't even know what I was saying. What was I saying?
I think you were going to say that this would just be a regular conversation that we would have.
Right, we would do this. Like, we'll do this no matter what. But it's like me actually asking you about this shit that you clearly love. And like, I ask you a question. You're like, oh, yeah. And like, I love hearing that. I love seeing that. Like, why not actually have the conversation?
Mm-hmm. You know? That's why, like, niche down, like you said in that intro video, everything is supposedly just all about niche or niche, however you want to,
I don't know how to say it either. I hear it differently all the time. So.
And which makes sense to a certain extent, but it's so funny the balance of people who follow trends and know how to use those well, and then other people that are like, I I don't give a fuck.
Who cares? Shit, dude.
Like, and just roll with it. And then
if I follow trends and follow a niche, I'd still be selling fidget spinners. Like, look how far that got you guys.
Did you sell fidget spinners?
No, but like that was like a big thing. Like when people like talked about finding a niche, it's like fucking, you know, so light up phone charging cords or fucking, you know, phone cases or whatever. I don't know.
I did have that. I had that same case before I went to Barcelona. I had a really cool, like, the back of my phone case was a DJ board, but it had negative protection.
That's awesome.
I think it made my phone like more susceptible to breaking when I dropped it. I broke my phone. It was really just the screen, 'cause, you know, with the newer ones, if you like the LCD on the inside of it, like, can break super easily. Yeah. You can't use it, but the phone itself is fine. You usually get a new screen. Yeah. I had to do that like 3 different times. Jesus but I had a guy in Colombia who loved me because I went back to him. He goes,
he was texting you. You break your phone yet?
Like, yo, I saw you went out tonight. Like,
we good?
You good? And I was like, God, if I go to Barcelona and fuck up my phone, I don't have this guy. And I spoke a very minimal amount of Spanish, and I was like, I need to get a better phone. My phone was fine, but
this phone case, I've had this phone case. It's
the mouse.
Yeah. And, dude, these fuckers are expensive.
Oh, I know, but they're worth it. I've
had this phone case for like 2 years, 3 years now. And like,
show it up. Maybe we get a sponsor.
Yeah, maybe. Dude, actually,
mouse.
Fucking, yeah, shout out this mouse fucking phone case.
Let's do a quick ad.
Knock on wood. Yeah, today's podcast is brought to you by Mouse. Literally the best fucking phone cases in the world. I will throw this thing 50 feet in the air and just not catch it. And people are like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, nah,
we're good.
Watch this. Dude, these things, like, their videos on, like, their ads on YouTube are them, like, dropping them from helicopters and stuff.
Yeah.
Or, like, 30 feet up in a high-rise building, just dropping it. Or, like, they'll be in lines to get the new phone that comes out, and they'll just put the phone case and just throw it on the ground. It's so fucking, and, like, knock on wood, this is my first phone that I've had my entire life that I've not fucked up. Every single phone that I've had, I've jumped in a pool with. I fucking forgot on the back of the car. I dropped it. It fell to my lap getting out of my car. Whatever. And this phone case there's so many instances where I'm like, oh, fuck. And I pick it up and shout out fucking Mouse.
What a better sponsor for the Village Idiots.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, all you dumb fucks that drop your phone all the time, spend $60 and get a good phone case.
So what's the dumbest way you've broken a phone?
Outside of jumping in the pool, actually one time, I was such a spoiled little bitch. One time in middle school, when I get my first phone, middle school, it was a flip phone, whatever. I had the same phone for like 3 or 4 years, and I was due for an upgrade. I had broken the fucking thing like 3 times, and my parents were like, you're not getting a new phone. And one time I was just like driving through the valley with my mom, and I was like, Mom, watch this. And I just threw it out the window. And like luckily it just like landed in like literally where trees grow in a parking lot, and it like didn't break. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, sorry. Dumbest way I broke a phone, that's
maybe as an older, like above middle school.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. They're all always just so like I never woke up. I had a hilarious story about Charlie. I've never like woken up with like a broken phone, or like I've never like been pissed and like thrown it. Like I've never. All the times that I've ever broken a phone, like it was in my lap or between my legs in my car, and I like got out and it fell out when I was standing up out of my car, and it just shattered or whatever. One time, Charlie, shout out Flower, he woke up in an apartment complex like way outside of Columbia, and when he woke up, like when he came to the next morning, he had his phone, but the entire screen had been like ripped off.
Just the wires. And
yeah, you could just see like the battery and everything in it. And I was like, what the fuck did you do? He was my roommate at the time. He's like, I don't know. But he had his phone, just didn't have a screen. And I was like, that's honestly impressive at this point.
You kind of need that.
Yeah, right? Like you can't make phone calls now, can you, Charlie? But I don't know. Yeah.
So what was the biggest kind of culture shock or something that you saw while you were maybe just like travel in general? Because I think that's something that's really cool that I like with traveling is cultures. So if there's something you saw like, wow, I really just don't know shit.
Let me think.
Like I'm just a dumb American. I had a lot of those in my head.
I think biggest in general was like how like here in the States, like if someone comes up to St. Louis from fucking Alabama and like you hear them on the streets, like people will openly, I don't want to say ridicule or make fun of, but they'll like make everyone aware that there's like someone with an accent standing there. And I feel like over there it was just like totally accepted. It didn't matter who you were and like we stuck out like sore thumbs because like, you know, we were in the middle of fucking Spain and we had kids that were like 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyes. It's like it's like you're not from here. I don't know, just like shit like that. And like how like ignorant we are as Americans to other cultures in general. And like we are like probably quite literally the only country that's not overwhelmingly bilingual. And like everyone, like you go to Mexico, you go to Canada, they speak English and French. Mexico, everyone speaks English and obviously Spanish. And like over there, wherever the fuck you were, someone was speaking French, someone was speaking English, someone was speaking Spanish, someone was speaking German, like Dutch, anything.
They just go back and forth.
Yeah, like it was nothing. And like my dumbass thought I knew Spanish, and like, dude, I couldn't order food for lunch. It was so insane. And honestly, like it was a culture shock, but it honestly just made me almost feel like more ashamed. I was like, I
was like, wow, like I really am just a dumb American.
Yeah, dude, I'm some dumb fucking Midwesterner. But I loved it for that same point because, like, when I got back to the States, I was like, there's so much more. Yeah, there's, like, so much more that I could be doing, so much more that I could be learning about this stuff.
Yeah. Can I turn down the headphones a little bit? They're really loud.
Turn them down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I get excited.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
No, you're chilling.
What about you?
I'm the fifth person, probably definitely along the same lines of seeing how everybody else can communicate with each other. And then for me, because then I thought about that in the different sense of, because I worked at the rec for a little bit at Mizzou. And those international students that would be there's kids from like China, from literally like everywhere. And they would come up to the desk and
a lot of people from Asia
not speak great English,
right?
But I would know what they were asking for and be like, okay, yeah, for sure, and would think about it a little bit. And then when I came back, I still knew some people that worked there, or people that are even like anybody that just says, "Why can't like they're just like so bad at speaking English or blah 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 blah." But like I went to Spain and barely knew how to speak Spanish, and if I tried, people were nice to me. And if you try to speak English and speak broken English to a lot of people in the United States, they're gonna be like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Right, dude.
Which is just so unnecessarily mean. And not everybody's like that, but I've had a lot of interactions with that where I've been around people that say that. I'm like, you don't know how long they've been here. You
right,
know
exactly.
If they're trying their hardest to
they could be English. All in on trying to learn the language, and they just might be a weekend.
And then if somebody's an asshole to them out the gate when they're trying to speak English, that's going to make them want to learn English a whole lot less. When if you go to those other countries, when I would try to speak Spanish, they would be like, okay, and then like kind of appreciate it. Sometimes they would, if it was really busy, they would be like, English? And I'd just say, yeah. And then please. That happened more often than not, but if there was nothing else going on, then they would just say, yeah, do you mean this or that? And that's just how you get better at a language.
Yeah. And like, what I was saying, like, it was very clear that we were not natives. And like all of us were just fucking blatant American white boys. And like there was one kid who, I don't remember if he was double majoring or minoring in Spanish, whatever, but he was like our liaison.
Yeah,
like
there's always that person.
Yeah, and whenever we'd go to lunch or whatever the fuck, like we'd be doing something, and if like he wasn't at the front of the line, front of the group, whatever, he would just like shoo us all to the side and then like start speaking arguably fluent Spanish, and you could just like see, like, call it a cashier, you could just see them like, thank God
someone speaks Spanish,
right? Yeah. And it was just like crazy how they were just like way more I guess the word's accepting of like people not knowing their language and at least trying to speak the language,
or then just learning about Barcelona, especially. Like one of our classes was really tailored towards their culture and their history and their government, which for Barcelona is so wild. There's this whole story. There's actually a documentary on Netflix that is fantastic.
What's it called?
If you look up
about Barcelona,
it's about if you just do like Barcelona documentary on Netflix, the first thing that'll probably show up will be a soccer one. But It's not that
Watch, take the ball, pass the ball.
Match
just day.
Look up.
Mark
no,
Dreams.
it's about look up stolen. This sounds so fucked up. So it's stolen babies, Barcelona documentary. Yeah. So
No,
that's not it. God, I literally have watched this before. This is gonna bother me.
Stolen babies of Spain. Stolen between 39 and 92 in Spain. And around their search for truth, justice, and reconciliation, a system determined to keep the truth dead and buried.
It's called.
Is this not it?
That's not it. Try Catalonia.
Catalonia.
Documentary.
Spelled that wrong.
It's all good. I mean,
2 Catalonians?
no, I'll think of it afterwards and I'll send it to you. You can put it in the show notes.
Yep.
So
On Netflix?
Yeah, so it's on net. It might not be anymore. It was when I first did it, and it was. So what it's about is, so before there was a dictator in Barcelona or in Catalonia, which is like that region that Barcelona was around.
Yeah.
That was literally like Boys with Hitler, like was all about like Nazi regime. Like he was a dictator.
Holy shit.
And this was during World War II, I believe. And it's Francisco Franco.
Let's look that up. Francisco, what'd you say?
Franco.
The Silence of Others?
Yep, that's it. Silence of Others. Fuck. It's going to be one that's, I'm pretty sure.
The Silence of Others is an American-Spanish documentary film written and directed, which tells the story of the silenced fight of the victims from the dictatorship of Francisco Franco.
So, this guy was the dictator of of Spain, Catalonia, and this is also just for if anybody is listening to this at this point that knows a lot more of this about me, feel free to correct me. This is from what I remember in these classes.
Yeah, sure.
About it. So, one of the main points about this guy was, so they were dictators, but they put it across as like a Republican, like a Roman Catholic Republican. Like there's a picture of this dude with the Pope at the time. Because his thing was that's why. So if you go to Barcelona or Spain,
he was bringing like peace and freedom and democracy kind of a thing.
No, he used it like it was that.
Right.
It was like he was the dictator.
Right.
So it's fucked up that a lot of people.
I'm saying that's how we got it with the Pope and all that shit.
So a lot of people in Barcelona do not fuck with the Catholic Church and do not fuck with like the Republican, because for them that's like what they associate like Republican Party with, regardless of like other countries' politics.
Right.
Because that's what it was at the time. So between like, if you look up like stolen babies Barcelona, it's between the time frame, it was literally like until like the 90s. So for a while during that dictatorship, what they would do is they would take healthy families and they would find like young healthy parents of kids, and they would go to these Catholic hospitals because that's what they were like for the church. And that's what they were for the country. And there'd be these Catholic hospitals with nuns and doctors and priests in there, and healthy family have birth of like they probably know their political views, and if they aren't aligned towards that towards the regime is what it was called.
Yeah.
So what they would do is the nuns would purposely give like the moms a lot of painkillers. They would deliver the baby, and then they would be like, okay, like we're gonna go make sure that this baby's okay. Take it into the other room. Come back. Tell the mom like your baby died. So then they would say like, I want to see him. I want to see him. Like, no, you shouldn't do that. You're young. You're healthy. You can have another one. It's okay. It's okay. Like, just forget about it. Just forget about it. You can go, like, just have another kid.
What?
You can't, like, you shouldn't see it. It's just going to mess up you as a person.
Oh my God.
And then they would go and then they would sell these kids, these healthy babies to families loyal to the dictatorship, to the regime.
Mm-hmm.
So then they would either sell them as families, or they would put them into these homes that would be Catholic boarding schools that they would get adopted from families, like wealthy families that are loyal to that cause, like the regime of like of like the dictatorship.
To grow the...
They did that until the 90s. So they did that...
Fuck me.
So they did that...
So whatever that movie I pulled up was...
The Silence of Others, that's a part of it.
Right.
So then there's this whole other aspect of it that comes into it where that starts to come into light. And...
Let's just do 1990.
They signed this thing called the amnesty law. So that stuff started to come up, and only until... So they literally would just say... That's bad. They denied it for a long time. So for a lot of those kids, like after a while, once those kids were adults that are probably like in like their like 30s or 40s now, their parents, one of the parents said, like, told them like on like their deathbed, like this is what happened. So then they had a case for that, and then were able to go through with it. But then when they it started to come up more and more. This was like in like the mid 2000s.
Jesus Christ.
So what they would do is then they would go into, so they would go back into the files and try to find it, but these doctors just forged all of these files. So some of these kids, they were never even documented if they were being born.
Yeah, they didn't exist.
Because a lot of these...
They died.
Exactly. So these parents, so they wouldn't even document the fact that they were born in the first place.
Oh my God.
Because all of these hospitals were run by the government.
So there's proof, but there wasn't proof.
Yeah, and then there was even like the main doctor who was on trial he could have gone to jail for, it was 13 years, but he was too old at the time for them to even sentence him.
Right.
So he's like, Kate was on file saying, I burned all of these documents.
God.
So it was
How did you find out about this?
So that was what we learned about in school.
In one of these classes.
One of our classes, it was this woman who's the liaison between... was the liaison of the program, so she taught one of our classes, and that was one of the... She is a badass. She speaks six different languages. She was the one that was spearheading, because this was, when we were there, all still relatively new stuff, and she was teaching us about it firsthand. She went, got interviews, got papers together, was pushing this stuff to go to the government. She's a badass. Shout out to Carolina. And
what's up, Carolina?
So
see me in Coney Island.
Whole other aspect about it was that, so then
that's hooked. That's getting caught. There's a hook there that you can unhook it from.
Oh no, I was just pulling it, giving it a little bit more slack.
Yeah.
And so they started to that stuff, and then stuff with the Franco, that dictatorship. There was unmarked graves of just huge amounts of people that just weren't loyal to the regime. So the Catalans, which is why, so there's a whole other thing of El Clasico being a big deal. There's a whole cultural thing
between Real and Barcelona.
Yeah, because Madrid was like the government.
Madrid, sorry.
And then, but like Madrid, the area was its own place. Everyone at Madrid, even still now, everyone in Madrid's like, fuck Catalonia. Like because Catalonia for the longest time has tried to secede from that.
Okay.
That's a whole other thing that I don't understand a whole lot. I kind of get it, but those people, they have their own culture, their own thing that was taken over by the outlining Spanish, which makes sense because, I mean, there was just a lot more of Spain than there was of Catalonia. Right. And that was during the dictatorship, during the Spanish Civil War that they lost. And then they went into it and they tried to keep their own culture. But you could literally get killed if you were caught speaking Catalan.
Good God
in Barcelona.
Almighty.
And like the old...
And this is all the past 100 years. Yeah. Past 50 years.
Yeah. So then like the old FC Barcelona stadium got bombed, and then they built a new one. I think that was when they started to build Camp Nou.
Wow.
And so the culture behind that is so crazy. That was a whole other thing where we started to learn about that, and I was like, it was so interesting to me because I kind of like history in general, but still thought I don't really care. Like American stuff is...
Dude, I've said that, but I love history, but I hate how history was taught in school.
Yeah.
Because it was like, memorize this name and this date. And I was like, dude, I don't give a shit. I just want to learn about the event.
Yeah. That's right. I got lucky with with some of the classes that I had, even at CBC, once we got to an older age, where that was the first time where they just said, write about this. Like, what do you...
Right.
They gave us both sides of it and then just said, like, what do you think about this?
Go at this.
And then started to do that more in college. And then when we got there, they were just telling us just all of this just crazier and crazier shit. And then so they had to sign this thing. So
crazy shit.
So then from the government standpoint, they got to a point where like, okay, we need to acknowledge that this was fucked up because we're not like this anymore. So they had to choose between, okay, this is an amnesty law, which actually I think this might have been like when they originally went to, because I think they're a socialist country, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not completely sure, which it sounds so stupid that I'm spilling all these facts and don't know that aspect of it.
Hey, fact check us, people.
Yeah.
We don't know.
So then at that time, they're like, okay, this guy, like the dictator died, and then the guy who was underneath him was like, we're not going to keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah, changed, but they get it. They're like, we can't ever talk about anything that happened before, ever.
Just not acknowledge it at
Not
all.
acknowledge it. Don't ask, don't tell. So it's called an amnesty law. It's literally a law in their within their government currently. I had to write a paper about it. It was an amnesty law. If you type that in, also very interesting.
Catalan or Spanish? Like Spain?
Just do. You could probably do Spain, just as an easier spelling.
Spanish.
1977. Yeah.
Promulgated, don't know that word, by the Parliament of Spain 2 years after Cadillo Francisco Franco's death. The law freed political prisoners and permitted those exiled to return to Spain, but also guaranteed impunity. Well, these are some new words. For those who participated in crimes during the Civil War and Francist?
I don't know.
The law is still in force and has been used as a reason for not investigating and prosecuting Francis human rights violations. God damn.
So those people that were political prisoners pretty
the
much.
The act institutionalized Spain's, quote, pact of forgetting.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So Kayla, she was teaching this to us, and we all were just blown away because no one. And then I came back and would talk about it to people, and I mean, I don't know why anybody who has never been to Spain or Barcelona would know about this.
Right.
It makes sense.
Right.
But this is just so wild that nobody knows about this. It's
That's
crazy.
Fucking crazy.
So they still are trying to get it overturned because then they literally
a decision among Spanish parties and political actors during and after the Spanish transition to democracy not to address atrocities committed by the Spanish state.
So all of the so at the
there you go. In 2008, judge briefly began an official inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
For
the disappearance of more than 100,000 people.
The dude was He was Spain's version of Hitler.
God.
So what this is, and this is a mass generalization, but they were in the same parties and the same shit to where that's what he thought of Catalan people.
Wow. He wanted them gone.
Yeah.
Good fucking God almighty.
So if they were doing something, or if they were political activists, which there were at the time.
Right.
Just either kill them or just send them away, and then nothing happened. So those people that were still in power around Franco after that democracy period, so they did go to democracy. Mm-hmm. All of those guys were still in charge.
No way.
Yeah, because they just had to forget about it.
Right.
Which at the time it makes sense for the people to agree on it because they were like, okay, this is the only way for us to move forward. We just went through all of this shit.
Right.
What we just want to be safe. We just want to be normal. Right. So they're like, okay, we'll vote for this. We'll do this.
Sure. Get it over with kind of a deal.
Yeah. So now looking back on it as probably adults that would have to be pretty old to have been alive during that time would be and alive to where they didn't really know what was going on, but then start to learn about it. No, this is fucked up. We need to change this.
Yeah.
But it's so in that that documentary is
awesome.
And it might be it's called The Silence of Others, I believe.
That sounds right. Yeah. I wonder if it's still on Netflix. Yep, still on Netflix, people. The Silence of Others.
And it might be, I'm pretty sure it's all in Catalan, so there's a lot of subtitles, but
I'm all about that, dude. I'm all about that. That's why Squid Games is such a banger.
Yeah, it is. So
appreciate other cultures, you motherfuckers.
Appreciate other cultures. But the trailer even is just powerful. The first scene of the trailer is this woman that's looking over. She was like, my mom's buried somewhere right there. She's still on a highway. There's a road, just a perfectly paved, guarded rail.
Somewhere over there's also another few hundred bodies.
There's an unmarked grave right there. And I come out here and tie flowers. She ties flowers to the rail, whatever, the guardrail.
Yeah.
She goes, I'll come back next week. These will be gone.
What? Because people are still trying to.
They got to take these down.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
And there's still...
I want to watch this with I want to watch this with at least a buddy of mine that went on that trip with me. It's because they would appreciate this kind of a thing.
And even in Madrid, there's it's funny. There's a whole not funny, but there's an aspect of it that in Madrid that's a horrible wording.
I know what you're saying.
So there's an Arc de Triomphe like there is in France, but there's one in Madrid.
Okay.
But that was from when they won the Spanish Civil War, which was defeating the rest of Spain. Yeah. And then there's still Franco statues, and he has a massive gravesite. It's probably fantastic to visit just out of a sheer tourism.
Right.
Like if you look it up, look up Francisco Franco. Francisco Franco. That's a tongue twister.
What, gravesite?
Gravesite, yeah. Or tomb, yeah.
Oh my God, there's a whole thing.
Yeah. Because people
there's a website.
So people in Madrid still think that he's the man.
Bro, that's fucked up.
Or just don't know that exists.
Spain moves dictator Francisco Franco's remains after months of legal battles. That's on NPR. Artist paints over. Wow. So this is really strong feeling still.
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. So where's this?
In Madrid.
Okay. Dude, that's a massive fucking building.
Well, so you know how people in Germany...
It is a tourist thing.
Yeah, so you know how people in Germany just didn't believe that the Holocaust existed?
Mm-hmm.
It's like people in Madrid still are just like,
nah,
nothing happened. This dude was our leader.
Dude, that's crazy. Look at that. Why Europe's last monument to fascism is so hard to get rid of.
And it's crazy because all those people are still all in on it. Because there'd be no reason for them not to be. That's just the only stuff that they've.
So in literal sense, it'd be in America, Vietnam vets. That's not in reference to the Vietnam War, but that's the age of the people.
Yeah, because he died. If you look up whenever he died, but no more. I don't know. I'd be kind of talking on my ass if I keep going into that.
Because I think it said he died in 77, 75.
75, and then if you think when he took over
5'4",
whenever he took over Spain, that makes sense.
He ruled over Spain from 1939. Okay, so World War II vets and Vietnam vets.
Yeah.
From 39 to 75 as a dictator, assuming the title Caudillo.
Yeah.
Caudillo.
So what's crazy is that everyone knows about Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I guess makes sense because they did
millions and millions.
Millions and millions and millions and took over countries and countries.
Right.
This is smaller scale, but still almost as equally as fucked up.
It's awful.
That no one else knows about, really.
I've never heard of this.
The amount of I remember sitting on my back porch with my grandparents once I got home. My grandparents and my parents. My grandpa was in the military. I don't know. He was in the Air Force around World War II time, and even after that, he never really saw a bunch of action, but he was there.
Right.
And I was had this exact same conversation with my parents and my dad. He was a very well-read, knows a lot just about random shit and history and stuff. And he was like, I have no idea who this person is, and almost didn't believe me. Dad, I literally sat in a classroom and learned about this from a Spanish woman. This is real.
I promise you, Dad, this is real, and we landed on the moon. I swear to God.
And then this is not in a studio. We landed on the moon. And my grandpa was sitting right there, and I said something. I was like, "Is this the guy who was in charge?" And my dad goes, "Who is it?" And he goes, "I go Franco." And my grandpa was like, "Oh yeah, Franco, yeah, bad dude."
Huh? Really?
Yeah. And I was like, "Dad, see, I didn't even have to fact check him and pull it up."
Swear to God, Dad, this old man knows it.
Yep, he knows what's up.
That's crazy. I love how we're just on tangents right now.
Yeah, I came into it wanting to talk about that specifically.
Dude,
I'm glad Kate was able to.
Yeah, for sure. I love
that in there because this is just how we were saying, just about random shit. That was something that I learned that was
dude, it's so interesting.
It's so crazy about it. So then we get assigned to write a paper.
He was the Captain General of the Army, the Captain General of the Air Force, and the Captain General of the Navy.
Yeah.
Fuck. So what does Caudillo mean? Sorry to interrupt.
No, if I had to guess, it's the Spanish form of
as a type of personalist leader wielding military and political power. There is no precise definition, which is often used interchangeably with warlord and strongman.
Sounds about right.
The term is historically associated with Spain and with Hispanic America after virtually all of that region won independence in the early 19th century. So probably some real dickheads. Probably. I had to guess.
I mean, 5'4", you kind of got to be a dickhead.
Yeah, sounds like a Napoleon-looking motherfucker. Well, goddamn, man.
So now you know a little bit?
Yeah, shit. I mean, I couldn't tell you what I learned about in class over there.
But for we had a small class with the same teacher that she was the one that taught us. She was probably one of the smartest people I've ever been in the same room with, easily.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you recognize that.
And she would bring it up in the most nonchalant way. She was not.
It was just something she knew about.
Exactly, and then all of the other stuff that she talked about, she would just talk about. She would go, okay, I've done this, and this, but would bring it up and just as we were learning about it, and then we would ask her more questions about it. And she goes, yeah, I just sent this whole, I don't even know, this whole folder, this whole story thing, to I am sending this to the government, and I keep sending it. I keep making calls. So even now, when people do this, they can still just hang up, we're not talking about this, and just shoot it down.
Madrid versus Catalonia. Catalonia crisis in 300 words.
That seems like an article that's meant for you.
Yep, dude. See, this is how you get me to read shit, man. I'm not gonna register though. Wow, this is perfect. There's graphics, there's pictures. Catalonia's drive for independence plunged Spain into its biggest political crisis for 40 years. The region had its autonomy suspended for almost 7 months. Wow. By Madrid after a failed bid to break away. Really? Okay.
So, from what I remember, there was, if you wonder, what is Catalonia? Is a good little.
Catalonia is a semi-autonomous region in northeast Spain with a distinct history dating back almost 1,000 years. The wealthy region is about 7.5 million. Own language, parliament, flag, and anthem. Also has its own police force and controls some of its public services. Why the controversy? Catalan nationalists have long complained that the region sends too much money to poorer parts of Spain, as taxes are controlled by Madrid. They also say Spain's changes to their autonomous status in 2010 undermined Catalan identity. In a referendum on the 1st of October 2017, declared illegal by Spain's constitutional court, about 90% of Catalan voters backed independence, but turnout was only 43%.
So with that was...
Excuse me, I got to plug in my laptop. Keep going.
Oh, that's rough. So one of their biggest thing was, Barcelona, obviously one of the major hubs of Spain as a whole, is in Catalonia.
Yeah.
So they drive just so much money. And even Girona and the other city that's below Barcelona, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but they have to send tax. I think it's a countrywide tax thing. So they have to send taxes to Madrid because there's a lot of rural parts of Spain that were previously Madrid based, because Madrid's more central, and then everything around there is Spain. So the Catalonian people think this is our money. We should just keep this within us. And Madrid, you guys make enough money. We shouldn't have to pay taxes to Madrid for all of these rural areas that don't bring in the money that we do. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. God damn. It says right here, in June 2018, Catalan, literally fucking 3.5 years ago, Catalan nationalists regained control of the region from Madrid's direct rule after a new government was sworn in.
Yeah, so the whole other thing, too, if you scroll up a little bit more, that stat, if you go down a little bit, so they did declared illegal by Spain's constitutional sports, so there was 90% of Catalan voters backed their independence. I think it was just in one of those polls where they just asked people about it, and then when it actually came to the vote, that was where that 43% came from.
Only 43% of the people voted.
Yeah.
And look at that didn't vote. Most of the pie didn't even vote.
Yeah. Because there's a whole thing that they're just,
and this was October 1st of 2017.
Yeah, so this shit's still like very fresh, very
wow.
So people are still like, just scared.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. I had no idea. I mean, dude, maybe I literally just didn't pay attention when I was over there.
No, the only reason I would have known about that is because we sat in a class with somebody who was engaged.
Yeah, she probably made it really interesting, though.
And she was exactly.
She's speaking from personal experience, which personally I learn a lot from other people's personal experiences, not just reading some fucking textbook.
Exactly. And it was so cool because the first time when we rolled up there, she says, okay, this is going to be really different than normal schooling. Schooling just in Europe in general is night and day to how school works in the United States.
Yep.
They just let you think about stuff and just ask you questions, and it's open format and talking and going back and forth with each other and not like, here, put your head down.
It's group discussions and shit.
That was she would.
Our classes were like groups of 4 people, and like we had to come up with arguments, and then we'd present it, and then they would ask questions, and people would argue it back.
Yeah. So this teacher, she would literally.
And it wasn't even like a political class.
It's just like formulating ideas, just being able to have not even a debate or something that has to get heated, just having a conversation.
Just gets you thinking.
Exactly.
Right.
And just think, okay, I have this well-rounded, thought-out idea that has backing to it. And then somebody else says, I have this well-rounded, thought-out backing idea to it. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that never once crossed my mind.
That makes sense. And then if you do it in a comfortable environment, like that's why people get so pissed off in certain debates, is because they just don't know how to like bounce stuff off each other without feeling like they're
it's
being
their way
attacked.
or the highway.
Yeah. Which that bothers the shit out of me.
Agreed.
But
it's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole other conversation. But she would literally switch around the desks, and we had I think like 27 people in our program, maybe like 25. The desks would be not even like a different place, would be in a different order, different random grouping every time we went to class.
That's awesome.
Which was, I want to say once or twice a week, but she had other classes in there, and every time we'd come in, it would look different.
Huh.
And
that's
she
cool.
did that on purpose. She goes, I want you guys to sit next to different people. I want you to walk in and see a different room every time, because it's going to make your
different
brain...
points of view, look at things differently.
Look at things differently, and just if you walk into a room that's the same every day, that's going to stick in your head more. She goes, I want to make a different environment every time you guys come in this room.
I like that a lot.
And I remember thinking, I have never had a teacher put this much effort into what we thought as students.
If you walked into a room, you saw a desk arranged differently, like what the fuck is going on today?
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that a lot. I hope a teacher listens. Sorry, I'm gonna clip this.
Clip it.
158 desks.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Do you have some teacher friends that you wanna?
Not really, dude. It's not that I didn't like any of my teachers. Like it's not that I had bad experience with teachers, but I never had anything like that.
When you see a teacher go into it, and she would ask us stuff,
but it's the whole thing about like her being really passionate about it,
and then her asking us what we just as American kids with being in college, being educated on our way of thinking. And she was like, what do you guys think about this? And would tell us stuff, and then we would ask her questions, and she would be genuinely interested in what we were saying. And that's a whole thing with, there's so many different teachers that I interacted with that were so much more open to receiving, like explaining stuff and like actually respecting what we had to think. And I've also had people that are like, I'm older than you, I'm the teacher, like I know everything.
Yeah, I'm the authority.
I'm like, I'm just asking, I just want you to explain to me. Like the amount of times I've asked why for something, and then some people are like, oh, because of this, this, and this. I'm like, and then other people get really pissed off, and then I just have to.
Because I fucking said so.
I was like, I would always have to say, I'm not asking why out of disrespect or to be a little asshole. But sometimes I probably was a little bit, but
then other times, but like genuinely, you're like, why?
I just want to know, or like, why are you doing this? Like, why am I doing that? Because I said so, and I just would say, whatever. But because I just want to know. I try to understand this.
Because in most, from personal experience, in most teaching / classroom situations, it's just sit down. Here's your notebook. Let's rip through this slideshow. All right, see you in 2 days.
Yeah.
Which I
write this down for the exam.
Yeah, I could never fucking stand that, and that's why I did so poorly. I mean, I did poorly in school for a number of reasons. But that was definitely a big reason why I did poorly in school. Is like, dude, this is not how I learn. I'm never just gonna sit down and read through this packet for hours on end. I'm gonna get nothing out of this, man. I can memorize a few sentences, but
nothing's gonna register.
No. So I can't tell you a damn thing I learned from any class.
Any class?
Okay. Any class? No, I mean like most, like all like the classes like on my own time. If I'm watching a YouTube video about it, or reading a Wikipedia article, like the classes that I would normally find interesting, I don't remember a damn thing about because it was like, this is just the most monotonous way to learn this stuff. Like back at Mizzou, I had like a Roman culture class, and I love that shit. I love Roman history. I love Greek culture, all of it. And like the Roman history class, it was just like, dude, she wasn't even using a smart board. She was only using those like overhead things where she swap in like clear sheets with like Sharpie on it. Yeah, dude. And I was like, are you serious? Like, this is how I'm going to learn this class? And it was just, but like now it's like one of the things I read about all the time or watch like videos about all the time. And it's, I don't know. If things were taught differently, I don't want to say if things were taught differently. If things were taught in different ways, I think that it would have had I know it would have definitely had a bigger impact on how I took it and how I remembered it and how I applied it, for sure, on any given subject.
Were there any subjects that stuck with you that had it taught to you the right way that you were interested in?
That's a good question. I want to say like my real estate classes. I'm in real estate now, and I want to say my real estate classes, but I want to say that was just because I had a genuine interest in the first place. And even those weren't taught so hot. I do remember my teacher in Spain, how she did stuff. Because like how I was just saying, like the group discussions and stuff like that wasn't the Mizzou teacher. That was the in-house, whatever.
Universidad or whatever.
Yeah, a professor at the university, and like how she went about things and how she taught things. I really enjoyed and appreciated that class. But it wasn't like us learning about history and stuff like this. It was just more so because there would be like 15 of us from Mizzou in that class, and there's like 4 or 5 kids from France in the class, like literally French people, not people studying abroad in France. Like,
that's dope.
Yeah, and then like people from. Like there were some people studying abroad, like literally from Mexico. There's people studying abroad from like wherever. So like actually people from other countries. And it was interesting to hear about how they saw things because it was wildly different. It was hilarious to see people's different takes on things.
How were your conversations with those kids that were from different countries?
In what sense?
Like academically or whatever, the topics that were brought up.
Dude, they were way smarter. They were, well, in my eyes, compared to me, they were way smarter and had way better insight on things. And, like, even if it was just, like one class, like, we had to come up with, like, why us being foreigners and studying abroad in Spain, like, what business practices and, like, business tactics did we notice just, like, going about the streets. And it was crazy, like, the stuff that they picked up on versus us. And then, like, there was another one about, it was like education systems and like how political movements pull into education systems and like how they came up with stuff. I in my dumbass mind was just like, yeah, it's just like they want us to like be worker bees, and they were like going into just like an entirely different like political movement with policies and like this pulls here and that's over here, and at the same time like this is working with that. I'm like, dude, who are you people? And I was just like, so you guys I'm just saying this, but like, you guys probably tested into this. Like, you guys are actually smart people. Meanwhile, I was just one of the kids that got in.
Just a kid from West County, Missouri.
Yeah, dude.
Chesterfield.
Yeah, I was on academic probation semester before this.
Just trying to make my way in a big city.
Yeah, dude. Where's the fucking KFC in this joint?
KFC is all over the place in Barcelona.
Over, dude. I ate so much Subway over there. I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't want to say there was never a class because I loved a lot of my teachers. It was just like, shout out Mr. Roush back at CBC. I fucked with Mr. Roush hard. And I always loved math, and I still do love math. I like numbers and all that. I was always good at it. But I don't want to say it was a bummer or a shame, but I wish he taught it. I wish he was my teacher for a different class because like math is just like a chore.
It is a chore.
Like it's sure if you're like an engineer or something, you're going to use it, but like I'm not using the Pythagorean theorem. And like, it's a shame that he taught me that, not fucking, I don't know, life sciences or something.
Yeah, Mr. Roush was one of the guys where I was like, I was never really bad at math. I just had to try so hard to just do very slightly above average in it. And then I would sit down to write something and be like, oh, this is good. and I remember, I didn't have an argument with him about it. I was just talking about, I had the classic fucking high school kid argument that math is stupid. Yeah. He goes, no, this is problem solving. You have to sit down and think about critically thinking about it. And at the time I was like,
sure, okay, shut up. This is stupid. Why are you giving me homework?
I'm gonna go play lacrosse.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like, but at the time you're fucking 16. You don't realize, you'll never realize that at 16.
Yeah.
But 8 years later, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
And I mean, take it for what it's worth. But
there was did you ever take the world religions?
Mr. Beach.
R.I.P. Mr. Beach.
Yeah, R.I.P. I was actually about to bring him up. And that's actually, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a class. And that's a guy that I really appreciated because I don't know about you, but I was raised Catholic grade school, Catholic high school.
Oh, yeah.
And
all the way through.
Like, I never even thought twice. Like, the only other religion I ever knew about was fucking Judaism and people like Jewish people.
Just because they were just there.
Yeah, and like fucking watching South Park, they called people Jews. Like, I was an ignorant asshole. And then like when I like went to the world religions class and to like see how similar religions actually are, and like how other people view them and like how they go about it, I was like, wow, this is actually like, it actually opened up my eyes to different cultures and how people see things differently.
Yeah. So for background, for the half of the person that's made it this far.
Yeah. You know you.
Mr. Beach, teacher at CBC of World Religions.
The GOAT.
It was a class you took, I think, senior year by the time, so you could formulate your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And he just brought about, you would just learn about different religions of the world in different sections. And he just brought it about in a very open-minded way where a lot of kids that would have came from Catholic grade school all the way Catholic high school would just have this stuff very hardcore shoved down their throat. And he would just say, oh, so Judaism, like they do this, or Buddhism and the Muslim religion is so interesting and has almost identical values to Catholicism or Christianity. And he would just teach that stuff in the most perfect way possible for 16 to 17-year-old kids that don't most of the time
not shoving it down your throat, just like, hey kid, like check this out.
And he was the chillest dude ever and would bring in people that were from those religions. He would bring in, we would like have field trips to a mosque, and
he'd give you extra credit if you went out of your way to do like interesting shit like that.
Yeah, so he was probably, for a lot of kids, I think that anybody that like went to CBC was one of the first teachers that probably had a real impact on them, from just really caring about them learning about stuff and then just bringing about it in a not formal education way.
And there's like so many times I distinctly remember like someone saying something or him asking a question and he just like look up at the ceiling and go, huh, that's an interesting point. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of fucking is.
And even that, as seeing that from a student to a teacher perspective is so huge, whether that be subconscious or conscious. Because then you yourself, he was an old ass dude when we were there.
Shit, he's probably 75 when we were there.
Yeah, and he passed away this year from just cancer that he knew. It was more of an if and when, but it was more of a when.
Rest in power.
Rest in power, Mr. Beach. I still have there was a cross that a kid brought in that was like really into woodworking or something, and brought it in and gave it to him, gave like a bunch of them to him, and he gave them that just really well just polished wood crosses.
Yeah.
And he gave them to our class, and at that time I just had this car, and I just it's actually the car that's outside, and I put it in the little compartment behind the seat. I think it's still in there.
That's awesome.
And so he was a homie and very intelligent dude that from a perspective, super intelligent guy but he was so intelligent because of his retention of knowledge and being open to having conversations with people and not just thinking, I'm a teacher, I know everything. And the dude would outsmart these people that he would bring in on their own religion.
And that he also was one to like the like firsthand experience of me, like it was okay to be open to experience new things, whatever it was, because there was one time that he brought in, I don't even remember what it was for, but he brought in someone to do acupuncture. And he just sat in front of the classroom and had someone put like 50 needles in his face. Like it was, like it was nothing. And I was like, what are we doing here? But I was just like, wow, like he's doing this as if it's nothing and like just like kind of talking to the class while she's doing it. I'm like, this is crazy.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was just putting a bunch of kids that were for the
and I think that's why he stuck out to me, because he was like, it was just like such a non-traditional way to have a class.
Yeah.
It was not because like, I hate testing, and like it wasn't that like it was an easy class, like you just got a guaranteed A, but he basically gave us the answers to tests because he didn't want it to be a burden on you. He wanted you to come into that class with an open mind
and not be stressed out
about
it.
And like, just learn something. And like half the time, like not half the time, like every other week there, he'd just be he'd have a class like our hour and a half block classes. He'd teach them for like 20 minutes. He's like, okay, we're meditating today, and like we just fucking take a nap.
Which, dude, actually at the time of how crazily important and all over the mainstream meditation is today, where at that time, I don't know if he just wanted to give us an excuse to chill out, or he actually thought like, okay, meditation is good for you, regardless if these kids fall asleep or not.
Right.
Because I think for me, that's also a form of meditation, that time period like before you fall asleep. That's a whole other thing.
For sure.
Just like these kids are just getting shit thrown at them all day. And he knows some of the other teachers, some of those other teachers are assholes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like these are all 16, 17-year-olds that have a bunch of other shit going on. They're going to come into my class, and the more chilled out they are, the more open to learning they're going to be.
Right. And if like you go into that, not having the expectation that you're going to that class about to have a nap, but knowing that like, oh, there's a chance that like we have meditation today, it's just like...
even just being excited to go, like, what's this dude going to talk about today?
And like, even if it was taking a nap, like... I just, like, I don't know. I thought so much more highly of him because, like, fucking high school, like, that afternoon I'd have football practice and lacrosse practice. And I was like, I didn't know if there was going to be meditation. I didn't bank on it, but if there was, I was like, dude, you literally just saved me for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I fucked with him a lot. He was really cool.
He was a good dude. And it was good. My mom was telling me because he left after I think he found out that he had, I don't know what kind of cancer he had. It was a kind where he was like okay for a while and then like kind of knew what was going on. And so like he moved home wherever, like moved somewhere else. Like he was around his family for all of the final parts of his life.
That's
which is good.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. He deserved it. Of all people, he deserved it.
Definitely. Was there any other classes, maybe even in college, not even classes, just something that someone has taught you that you've learned today? It could literally be
I like these questions.
Whatever that Mac Miller lyric that you were selling your boy.
What? Oh fuck. I feel so bad I remember it.
Who came on last, Andy?
Yeah, Andy.
It was, I forget that this was longer ago than what I literally listened to it today.
Yeah, for me this is
a while ago.
3-4 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't remember. Well, he signed it. Oh no, he didn't sign it. Yeah, he did.
It's right here.
11/17, almost a month ago. I love this. I love that I'm doing this now.
That's a fantastic idea.
Gideon didn't sign it. I just completely forgot to ask him when he was here.
Do you just not like Gideon?
Yeah, fuck you, Gideon. Sorry, brother. You ignorant asshole.
That was a good one.
Dude, he's an awesome
good one. That was a tough one to was just off the bat with him. It was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I felt the same. As soon as Andy led with, dude, I don't know how I can. Because
he pulled up and I posted that. He's like, what the fuck am I going to talk about? It was just like, when I had the idea, like, it was literally like meeting people like Davis and Gideon that I was like, dude, I have to sit down with you guys and talk to you more about some of this shit. Because, literally the experience, like, the shit that I talked about with Gideon, like, just scratched the surface of who he is and what he's done.
Seemed like a really smart dude.
Dude, wicked smart. Wicked smart.
My boy's wicked smart.
Yeah, my boy is wicked smart. And then tomorrow... What was the question? I don't know. Tomorrow night is Charlie Hirth, who is episode 1 Davis's older brother, and he is a doctor. He's an optometrist. Eye doctor. I don't know if he's done with he just got his white coat. He just graduated med school, so he's a doctor now. And he I knew I wanted to talk to him about like that kind of shit. And like, what did Davis tell me the other day? Yeah, so he went to Nicaragua and did a medical service trip.
That's so cool.
I know, dude.
So much cooler than me going to a fucking nightclub and
dude, but same
finding
with me.
My musical experience.
Yeah, dude. I hear this shit. I'm like, bro, what do you mean? And I just literally asked Davis, like, what else could I talk to him about? He was like, oh, dude, he went on a medical service trip in Nicaragua. I'm like, what did he do? He was like, I don't know, dude. Ask him about it.
He just cured children of incurable diseases.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out tomorrow. We'll find out eventually, but.
So I'm glad that he's following my DJ one and music.
Dude, it's great though. I love it because literally my buddy Bennett, he's gonna come on here and he's doing the whole DJ thing, and I want to hear his experience from it. And then my buddy Bogey, shout out Bogues, he wants to come on. I really want to have him on, and he's Bulgarian and he played semi-professional soccer, and he's older than us, 27 maybe, something like that, and now. He works at BPV. I think he's a GM at BPV, and he does he's DJ'd at Rise, and he always DJs at Crown Room. And I'm like, dude, I gotta hear some stories about this shit.
I want to talk to this dude.
I know, dude. It's nuts. It's so nuts. And that's I don't what we were saying. I don't care what it is. I think it's all so interesting.
Let me come on the pod when he's on.
Yeah, sure. Come on. I've got fucking 4 things.
We gotta put them to use, otherwise they're just gonna be.
I know.
Otherwise they're just gonna be ringing over there in the corner.
Yeah, I know. My cat's gonna be chewing up all the fucking cords.
No, my initial question was, was there something that?
Oh, that I learned from somebody.
From somebody inside of school that you've thought about a lot, your buddy Andy. He said that one kid said that no, time is the most important thing. That was when he was in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let me think of you. Anything stick out to you?
I did not think you were gonna flip that on me, you bastard.
I mean, I can take I've taken pieces and hints here and there. Honestly, in the position I'm in right now, in the job that I'm in right now, in this podcast, and I'm 24, and I don't have a kid, I'm not married, and with COVID, every interview that I've been doing, I worked at a farm last year, and I'm doing this real estate shit. And anytime that anything's ever come up, or if it's travel or this podcast thing, relation to you with the DJ thing, anytime I've ever talked to anyone about any advice, it's just dude, right now you're young, and even if you're not young, it's why not? Why not try? Try it. If you don't like it, you're fucking 24. And it's kind of cheesy because I keep seeing, I don't have that clock app, TikTok, but I keep seeing on Instagram, and there's a voiceover of Joe Rogan talking. It's always weightlifting people or some inspirational shit, but the quote that he says is I always wish I started younger. I wish I started when I was young. Okay, and he's okay, but you didn't, so start now. And that I don't want to say it's from one person, but I always hear in a roundabout way that kind of advice, and it's stuck with me so hard. And a few weeks after, actually a big stepping stone for me, a few weeks after I graduated CBC, me and 3 of my buddies went skydiving. And it was just it was on my bucket list since I was 10. And then one day we were just let's do it. And I called some people and yeah, we can get you in 2 days. And I was okay, I guess we're doing this. And then when I went and did that, and I thought it was the scariest thing in the world. And I stuck my leg out and I thought I was going to die. And then he fucking flung us out this plane. And it was nothing. You weren't falling. You're just kind of floating. And when you got back down to the ground, you're just holy shit. What people think is the scariest thing in the world, jumping out of a plane, was nothing. And to me, same thing with the whole why not thing, just fucking jump and do it. Why not?
Clip that.
I will. 220. Why not, dude? I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care if it's DJing. I don't care if it's a podcast. I don't care if it's a YouTube channel. I don't care if it's fucking wood carving. I don't care. No reason not to. Who knows? Who knows?
Nobody.
And even if it's just you getting your little 30 minutes of happiness a day. Yeah.
It's 30 more minutes than what a lot of people
get. Yeah, exactly. And for me, this is 2.5 hours, just pure fun.
And even as maybe a minuscule of learning how to do all of this shit, how cool do you feel knowing how to put this shit together?
Dude, it's wicked. I never that's I was saying, I have no clue what I'm doing. And now I'm fucking 5 in and I'm posting them. I fucking built a website. I'm editing them. I've got this fucking soundboard. I did all this shit. It's I bought it. I was oh, this will be easy. And I started doing it. I was I'm never going to do this. And now I'm yeah, It was a mountain, and I'm on top of it, and now there's a fucking bigger mountain I got to get to the top of.
It's just steps. Top of one mountain, just the bottom of the other one.
Baby steps, dude. One step a day, 1% better. I'm so fucking cheesy. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
No, it's there. And I think I wrote, so I just like write in the morning, just my thoughts, and there was one thing
That's good.
that I talked about literally to myself.
Dude, those are some of the best times, though.
Those are. So it was a whole thing of where just the term like cheesy or cliche came from. And like, that's kind of a stupid concept of something being cliche. If you think about what people call cliche, like what you just said, as literally just somebody being happy or doing whatever they want to do. Like the term cliche had to have come from somebody just pissed off that something didn't work out for them.
Dude, wow. I never thought of it like that.
Of somebody literally just having like you being, so like if me being not me and just thinking nothing went my way, nothing worked out for me. And then you just saying like, do whatever you want to do, like be happy, like, oh, but like that's kind of cheesy. Be like, dude, shut up, like that's cliche. My life sucks, so like yours has to too. And then that's somebody that created the word cliche. If you think about like anytime someone says this is going to be really cheesy or that was really cheesy, like what came before or after that? So something inspirational that just happens to be
quite literal definition of phrase or opinion that is overused and betrays a lack of original thought. So like at some point someone was probably like, oh, I'm gonna find happiness. It's like, oh, fucking sure you are, because they're like, I didn't, so of course you're saying that.
And it was, look at the one to the right, borrowed French word for an element of artistic work.
Right.
Saying or idea that is being overused. So, like, if you're doing a painting, I guess that could be cliche because you're just doing the same thing somebody else is doing. But in an idea of, like, either putting your own spin on it or somebody just saying, do what you want to do or be happy that you control your own happiness. I try to not tell that to my friends or people that I'm around all the time. Like, you can just, like, literally just... you control your own happiness, which is true, but like it's obviously not as easy as that, but it is at the same time.
Right here, even to the point of being trite or irritating, especially when at some earlier time it was considered meaningful or novel.
So someone decide that being happy and controlling your own shit is not meaningful and novel.
Yeah, wow, I like that a lot. That's a crazy thought. That's a really good thought. I like that one. That's really dope. I never would have thought to look that word up. I use that word so much. That makes perfect fucking sense.
Literally just someone just pissed off. I think of any saying, phrase that comes before or after that's cliche or like, oh, this might sound cliche. I listen to so many clips and snippets of crazy successful people, artists or business people that just, they all say
the same
shit.
Yeah.
So why would I not? So this was a whole other thing that I've also written down. Like why I make it a point to have my sort of content that I consume be those kinds of people.
Right.
And a lot of times, some of the other like outside voices are like, okay, don't listen to them. That's a crazy story. Blah blah. Like they're some one off or whatever. But if they're all saying, if a rapper and a monk and a Fortune 500 business owner are all saying the same shit, why wouldn't I listen to them instead of listening to this person who wakes up pissed off every day?
Right.
And just says, like, you can't do this or you shouldn't do this because of it's not realistic.
Quite literally chase your dream versus not chase your dream.
Kind of, yeah. And then
like if they're saying like, yeah, fuck it, kid, chase your dream, and that kid's like, and that guy's like, oh fuck, no, don't chase your dream.
So that's literally a choice of I'm gonna see something like Lil Yachty has some stuff he talks about all the time, which is so cool. But it's literally he just goes like, because a lot of them back it with like you can do whatever you want to do, but you have to fucking do it all day, every day.
Yeah.
And
it's not just going to come to you.
Exactly. And I love the people that back that like they kind of backtrack a little bit when they talk about that, because I think a lot of people on that other side of the spectrum just say like, I don't know, you can't listen to like what they're saying because they're already at that level. I'm like, they're at that level because they know what they're doing and they like have been doing it.
They can say it's easy to say that for them.
It's like, yeah, but like they can say it because they did all that shit for so long.
Right.
So it's literally for me, I try to, it does not happen all the time, but I try to just listen to stuff like that versus the opposite. And the opposite obviously creeps in as it does like with anybody. but it's literally just like I have to choose who I'm going to listen to. And it's like either that person over here or this person over here.
I like that.
Again, what I just said, cheesy as shit.
Dude, but it makes fucking sense. It makes fucking sense. Dude, let's end it on that.
All right.
2.5 hours?
I'm cool with that.
That's a good way to end it, man.
Good shit.
Great shit. Good shit, man. I fucked with this a lot. That was good. 2:26.